You are about to opt in to Monerotopia, a show for the Monero community where all are welcome to join. From noob to maxi, no matter what bags you hold. Just sit back and relax to the sweet sounds of Monero's latest progress. Or if you're feeling inspired, join us on stage. Remember, the only thing that can stop Monero is a false belief that it can be stopped. And if you want to win the revolution faster, we recommend you remove your XMR from all custodial exchanges immediately. Warning, voting accidents are common around here. Don't forget to properly secure your private keys. Monerotopia starts now.
All right, you ready? Hold on.
All righty.
Okay, we are live at the Libertarian National Convention.
Hello, hello.
Where I'm making espressos.
He's doing
literally,
it right now.
Literally
right
as
now.
we talk. With this gentleman who's, I don't know, this might be your third espresso?
Yeah, right. My third espresso. You can't have enough caffeine, man. I mean, you got to keep coming back until you get the jitters and then find some way to chill out. But hey, I'm John Kittleson. I'm running for U.S. House of Representatives.
Yeah, your face is blocked. Come
Oh,
over here. There you go. Perfect.
No, I see it was behind there. Yeah, hey, John Kittleson, running for U.S. House of Representatives, District 6 in Colorado. Super stoked to be here at the conference. We're getting tons of traction. I mean, we've been on Fox all day. My boss was texting me, telling me about it. Got a selfie with Vivek, and hopefully.
Oh, you met Vivek?
Yeah, I met Vivek. Got a picture, shaking his hand and stuff. I'm really hoping to meet Ron Paul. That's top tier on my list. My dad's a huge Trump supporter, so he wants me to get a selfie with Trump. So for him, I'll try and get the selfie just to make him jelly, give him the story. But yeah,
you got to teach me your ways. How do you even get up there? Wow.
Oh, okay. So you just got to push your way or act like you belong, right? I mean, so, a lot of hackers, social engineering, as long as you pretend like you belong, just, look at the people who do belong, look at their facial expression, look at their mannerisms, and just mimic that. And just take in that energy and hey, I belong here. Nobody questions it as long as you have the confidence. Okay. You just do that. You get into, I've gotten a selfie with every single person I've wanted to so far. Yeah. So this is no different. Awesome conference. I'm having a ball just meeting people. I mean, the people here, you got, whatever you're into, man, there's somebody who will talk your ear off. And
what is your platform? You said you're running. What is your platform?
Absolutely. Charter schools. We need to get away from public education. I think the government is indoctrinating our kids with their message. It's just watering down, making them obedient, right? I think if there's one thing we could do to really make the country a better place, I'm talking about minorities, all sorts of demographics, right? I think everybody would benefit from at least having some sort of system where, hey, you get a ticket and wherever you want to go to school, you turn in that ticket and they get the funding for your child, right? So the best school is going to get the most funding, right? Best school, so they can compete, right? So if it's a trash school, nobody's going to want to go there, right? They're going to take their kids' tickets somewhere else, and that school's going to be defunded. They're going to say they're closing schools, and it's well, it was a crappy school. It should go away, right? Leave room, fund the schools that are doing good work and attracting parents and educating kids. So I think that's what it's about.
That's a big issue. Yeah. I like that.
Absolutely.
This is Monerotopia. What is your understanding of Monero?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a great privacy coin, right? I think it is a privacy coin of the dark web for a reason. I mean, a lot of sites are getting shut down. A lot of bad OPSEC. It was who was the one that just got shut down? He rug pulled, right? And he was extorting his users. It was a dark website.
Incognito?
Yeah. The dude, bad OPSEC, right? His Monero fucking wallet, he was putting in public, hey, this is my wallet. And that wallet was linked to transactions that he was doing. So he linked his name to his wallet, and then that wallet to all these shady transactions. So, it's not perfect. You still have to practice good OPSEC, of course. But, for the most part, good luck.
He could have done it the right way with Monero and Absolutely. Used it the right way. But which that boggles my, that's a whole other, these guys that go through all these efforts to do these scams and high-risk activity. And it's using Monero the correct way is the easy part.
Yep.
and they fucked that up.
100%. Shout out to Mental Outlaw. He's also always boasting Monero and stuff.
Yeah, I love that guy. We've never been able to make contact with him.
No.
I don't know why. Reach out to us, Mental Outlaw. Let us.
Yeah. Hey, say what's up, buddy. Yeah, what's going on? But so he has a lot of good stuff, news for these sites. So that's a good dude to follow, good resource. Yeah, good merch.
Monero, digital cash. What do you think about that in terms of how libertarians should be talking about it? That issue, right? Because it is an issue.
Yes.
We're kind of talking about some of those things right now, right? It's the most used coin on the dark markets. How do you think libertarians should be talking about that issue?
Well, I definitely think it should be more front and center, but I think it's an educational issue, right? We're not impervious to just groupthink, and I think Bitcoin, there's a lot of these different coins that have a lot of momentum, and people are just, look at fashions, right? So how do you feel about Kim Kardashian? She started dating Kanye West, and Kanye West, one of the very first things he did was like, look at her wardrobe. And it was like, this is all trash. This is like, from all these great designers, but this is like, what's in fashion right now. You need to be fashion forward. Like you need to be adopting stuff, and then people see you wearing it and they start wearing it, right? So don't wear other people's stuff, make your own thing and, be fashion forward, be setting the trend, right? So Monero, like we're like the fashion forward ones. Like the whole point of having this crypto is like, this is the freedom, right? That's like the main draw to crypto is the freedom behind it, right? So we're the fashion forward ones. And, it takes a little bit of time. Most people are sheep. So, Bitcoin, Ethereum, these other coins are going to persist for a while. But as long as we stay true and we keep performing through and through, like, hey, we have those privacy benefits. Hey, we're still around, no issues. Government can't just confiscate your money. I think over time, we're going to come out on top.
Do you think Monero becomes the crypto of the Libertarian Party at some point?
Oh, I'd like to see it. Yeah, no, I definitely believe in Monero above all other tokens. I mean, just from the privacy aspect, I mean, that's, like I said, like that's the point of having like digital currency is the freedom, right? You're getting away from the state. I mean, now they're talking about a central bank currency and all this crazy stuff. I mean, look at China. You have to use your phone to do anything, any kind of transaction. You have to use Wemo or whatever it's called.
Venmo,
yeah, their version of Venmo. It's some crappy road stand to buy oranges. You still have to use this. Cash is like non-existent, right? So it's like there's like nothing more terrifying because there's that saying, show me who controls the money and I'll show you who controls controls the society. Like whoever has control of the money, that's it. Like, everybody's beholden to them.
I know. This is why I'm here like a maniac running around every libertarian. They're like, no, I get you. But like that, I think it's an issue worth being obsessive about.
Sure.
And I think every libertarian should be cognizant of it, right?
100% agree. And I appreciate that you have the espresso machine.
Oh, let me make that as we go, as we wrap up here, because I know you get back to the conference. Hold on.
Sure. Yeah, we're doing the presidential nomination right now. I'm hoping for Rectenwall, but we'll see. We just had the debate anyway. I'm not sure what's next on the agenda, if I'm being honest. But it's been an amazing conference so far. Like I said, we've had tons of top tier speakers coming through. Thomas Massey, the only real human in Congress, as far as I'm concerned, doing real honest things. That dude's like above reproach. Love him to death.
He's speaking today?
No, but he was around yesterday. He was doing a lot of stuff yesterday. He's not around today, but I know Trump's probably going to be the biggest name coming through today. Thank you very much. Trump's going to be the biggest name coming through today.
Can you help me get a question to Trump? We want to get his take on untraceable digital cash.
Okay. All right.
Would he be opposed to any ban of such technology?
Okay. I'll think about the question. Yeah, and I'll just be like, if I see him, if I shake his hand, because I'm a Marine Corps veteran and I know he likes taking pictures. Like I'm telling you, social engineering, right? Know your audience. Like he always stops to take pictures like cops and military and stuff. So I'm gonna throw that out there. So
yeah, I mean it's hard to come up with this. You got to come up with a sound bite that he'd understand. Like
I have to
if you say just digital cash, it's
what?
Yeah. Where do you stand on untraceable digital cash?
You have to be like, With regard to like the freedom of digital currencies,
I know it's so hard to get it like a soundbite.
Yeah. Especially for Trump. Yeah. So I mean, you got
like Trump. They're eliminating cash.
Yeah.
What do you think about digital cash?
Yeah.
Do we need that?
Yeah, something like that. Like, hey, cash is going away. It's just digital. Is that right? Yeah. So I'll think about that if I see him. Yeah,
That's tough.
yeah.
Vivek, I was hoping to get that to Vivek, but I wasn't around for the. It was after the debate or after he gave his talk.
Yeah. It was right after he gave his talk. Kind of like pushed my way up to the front and stuff, and like his manager, I almost didn't get it. His manager was giving him a sign like wrap it up, and I like pointed at him. I'm like, quick picture, yeah, and he's like, yeah, all right, and I was like, yes. So I got a selfie with him, so that was cool.
Did you watch Kennedy's talk yesterday?
Yeah. So I was up at the front. The whole time I've been sitting on the press tables. They don't check credentials, so I've just been like going and sitting at the press tables, making friends with all the press people. So I've had front row seats to all the talks. Just like
that's the way to do it. Yeah.
Like I said, man, it's just like you just roll up, act like you belong, and nobody questions it. Actually,
I mean, look at us over here. If you notice, we're the only one with a circular.
Oh, man, that's so funny, dude. You're doing it right.
We set up our own stand right in front of. We know the social.
Yeah, Dan, you did it. I love it. You got the
full espresso machine running.
You're bribing people with awesome espresso, man. You did it, man. Hell yeah. I appreciate it. I really do.
It's the best way to get access to everybody at the conference, because at one point or another, they're going to want an espresso.
Oh, yes. No, I mean, I've come back. This is like my third espresso, like you were saying, man. You're my favorite booth by far. There's so many booths. I probably agree with what they're saying, but I haven't even stopped to talk to their people. So you're doing it right. You got a good angle, man.
Awesome, man. Well, let me know if there's anybody else you think we should get on the show today. Sure. If you have any thoughts on that. Sure. And send them our way. We'll be going for the next hour or so.
All right. Yeah, if I see somebody I know is interesting, I'll send them your way. I promise.
Very cool, man.
All right.
Cheers.
Thank you. Again, John, District 6 in Colorado. If you live like in Aurora, Arapahoe County, I'll probably be on your ballot. I appreciate your vote.
What are the odds of winning?
Pretty much nothing. So I'm running against Jason Crow, who's that absolute pussy who's cowering in fear in J6. There's a famous picture of a dude like cowering in fear. He was an Army Ranger, and this dude, I mean, like, don't even get me started, dude. It's gonna it's so pathetic. Here you are in military, you're a veteran, special forces nonetheless. Okay, and more than that, like the dude behind him is just like casually on his cell phone. Like everybody else is just like, whatever, and he's like cowering next to the pier, the wall thing, whatever, just like cowering in fear. I mean, it's a pathetic picture. So I'm really psyched to be running against him. I think I'm in an area where a lot of people are just going to vote down ticket. So we'll see how I fare in the end. But I'm going to have a lot of fun.
It's really tough for the Libertarian. I mean, in any district, it's sure. 1% of the populace, right?
Yep.
I ran in 2020.
Yep.
For U.S. Congress, but I ran on the Republican ticket.
Okay, fair enough.
So worked out very well. Didn't win, but we got like 44% of the vote.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, hey, 44, that's pretty good.
And then the seat actually did, because it's primarily Democratic district, been Democratic for decades. Yep. And then after that election, 2 years later, the seat flipped Republican.
So that timing wasn't the best, but you had to wait for voters to get a little bit more tired of the people that were in. That's what they do. It's like, oh, this side isn't working. Let's put the other side in. That'll fix it. And it never does.
And I don't know what your local area is like, but I'm sure there's some, political organizations that kind of run the political scene, I imagine, right?
No,
locally?
we run the political scene. No,
I'm saying you're running against the Democrats and the Republicans. Those are machines that you're up against.
Yeah, definitely. We're up against machines, especially the Democrats. The Republicans are really shattered, kind of broken in this regional area of Colorado, just because it's so blue. They're having a lot of trouble finding good candidates themselves, which is good for me. Run like the crappiest guy you can find. I mean, that just makes me look better.
And crypto is probably something that never even comes up, like something you're not really even talking about, I imagine.
Oh, not particularly on my campaign, because I want to, be more focused on education. I think that's something I really, truly believe in. And I think everybody else is fed up, and it's like, that's a great message. If I start doing crypto, 100% pro crypto.
Right. But I'm saying, yeah, it's not something you're bringing up on the campaign trail, right?
Yeah, not something I'm bringing up on the campaign trail. I'll probably, now that we're talking about like a worldwide digital bank currency, like talk about.
That's a good one to bring up. Yeah, people can relate, and the elimination of cash.
Yes, and the elimination of cash. So those topics, yes, and throw in crypto as like an alternative. Like, hey, we already have our own solution. We don't need like government controlled, whatever. Yeah.
Very cool, man.
All right, awesome.
All right, cheers. Thank you.
I'll take care.
All righty.
Oakley dokley.
Wow. Bam. Okay.
Here we are. Oh, someone here, Christopher Baker. He's actually here
at the conference.
Yeah.
Come on over, man.
Come on over.
We got a lot of.
We're right outside the main hall. I do not know the name of it.
I mean, anybody who's at the Libertarian National Convention,
it's where they do all the voting.
It's where the convention's happening. It's right outside the main entrance.
Yeah, we're right in front of the terrace level
guys,
sign.
It's hard to just. We're out kind of in the hallway outside of the main hall auditorium where there's thousands of people in there. They hang out in there all day and vote on various things. All the delegates, and then they come out during breaks and they come out to like a hallway area where there's just like I don't know, maybe there's like 100 stalls out here, and we're the first stall
in the corner.
So we set up well.
Yeah.
So Monero is definitely getting out there, guys. We're talking to a ton of people.
And then you did a nice little speech yesterday at the party.
Yeah, I got the word out at the party. There was a pretty big group there.
Yeah,
I didn't do a Monero diatribe. I didn't want to sound possessed by Monero. So I kind of talked about the bigger issues. What that party was all about was recognizing liberty fighters who have been attacked by the government. So Julian Assange, Edward Snowden, Roger Ver. So I brought up the Tornado Cash devs and the Samourai devs, mentioned them and explained to people that story, what's going on. A lot of people don't realize that there's currently no way to use Bitcoin privately right now in the US easily, right? So I focused on that issue. But yeah, who else can we get going? Or maybe we should do price report.
Yeah, we can do price report, and we'll
round up some people.
Bawdy, you ready, my friend? Let us do this. I will do the intro.
Can Bawdy hear us as well?
Yeah, I believe so.
Let's wait. Bring Bawdy up for a second. We'll just.
Aloha, Bawdy.
Hey.
Hey, man. How's it going?
You guys have so much cool swag there.
Yeah, there's like a lot going on here.
Collected things throughout the years.
We have like stickers. We have signs, coffee, Oreos that his daughter is making.
Yeah, my daughter is in the background making air fried Oreos and selling them.
They're very good.
Air fried Oreos, bro. That sounds extremely healthy.
Oh, 100%. It goes well with your espresso. I mean, you're sugared up here all day. You know how conferences go. You don't sleep.
Oh yeah.
Maybe next time we'll do homemade chocolate chips. At least
you feel a little better about yourself.
They are really good. We use like the crescent dough from those Pillsbury things, and you wrap it around an Oreo and you throw it in an air fryer.
It's pretty tasty.
I wonder how good of a business model it would be to take all Oreos and all the junk food, but then make it out of stuff that doesn't have trans fats and polyunsaturated fats and seed oils. Try to make Oreos like Grandma used to make them. Obviously they still wouldn't be healthy, but they would be less unhealthy.
Yes, exactly.
There's ways, and I'd buy them for sure. Let's get it going on XMR Bazaar, man. Anybody that wants to make some homemade Oreos, start shipping them to my house.
Put Grandma to work. I need another 1,000 Oreos, Grandma. Tomorrow.
Yeah, let me bring that. So we launched XMR Bazaar. We launched it. It's still password protected. So if you go to xmrbazaar.com, actually, you won't see anything but a login. But if anybody's interested in testing it out, come into the Matrix chat, the XMR Bazaar Matrix chat, and we'll give you the password there. Actually, no, I'll just say it right. We made it super simple. It's just beta, I think, is the username, and password is tester. So we kind of just keeping I don't want to completely open it yet, but beta is the username, tester is the password. Jump in the Matrix chat if you're gonna test it out, please, and give us any feedback you have as you go through. But it's up, it's live, it's looking good too.
I'll see if I can show
Oh, you can bring it up?
Yeah,
Nice.
I'm gonna try to show it.
Yeah, buddy, I don't know if you were you able to check it out at all? Are you in that chat? We got to get you in there.
I don't think I am in that chat. No, I definitely need to go check it out though.
Jump in that room. It's actually.
Anybody want a microwave?
Oh,
They'll
nice.
just try to get me
Oh no, wait, share it.
I did. It's
No,
just slow. Oh,
I don't think
can
it's.
you guys see it?
Is it being shared right now?
I don't know. It's
No, but I don't see this. Wait, hold on.
It's usually hold on, view tab. I know. I don't know why it's not sharing.
No, you gotta put it
I'm
here.
currently
Hold on.
presenting. That might be. Do you want me to stop the screen share?
No, hold on.
No, I
we
got
gotta
it.
add the stage. Yeah, so we already have people posting. We already have people. We just launched it as we were driving down to DC. So I haven't really been able to jump because I wanted to jump on. I wanted to launch it on Monero, Bitcoin Pizza Day, and then my first post was going to be asking somebody to buy me a pizza.
I like the very first listing, programming skills.
Programming skills. But yeah, you could either spend Monero or earn Monero. So if you hit spend, we'll see these are all the different listings wherein you spend your Monero. You can buy a Monero hat, car batteries, accessories. No, this is a business listing. Somebody that does car detailing.
Oh, okay, I see now. Yeah,
in Chicago. Yeah, because we have we added business listings as well, which is really cool. Like if you go over here, spend Monero, just go to the businesses section. So these are all the business listings. We have the map. I don't even know where the map is, but we have it like mapped out. So that's pretty cool too. What is this? Oh, I posted a listing. I posted an earn XMR listing. So if somebody wants to fix up my Volvo, this is not my Volvo. This is what I want my Volvo to look like. This is the model I have. This is the car, the year.
Bro, I was about to be so proud of you without a license plate driving around like fuck the government.
Hey man, maybe whatever people want to do to my car, I want to Moneroize it. So I'm looking for a good mechanic willing to accept Monero. I put 1,000, but I'll pay more. Whatever work it needs. It needs a lot of work. It's burning oil right now. I just I don't fix cars. I don't have the time. It would be cool in theory, but I'd be happy to pay somebody Monero to do so. Come fix up my Volvo. So I'll be putting up tons of posts like that. I have endless ideas for things I'm looking to spend Monero on. All right, but moving on.
I'll put up my own earn Monero for cookies, Oreos.
Yeah,
healthy Oreos.
Yeah.
Healthy Oreos.
Let's.
I found someone actually that sells freeze dried food for Monero.
Oh, send them to XMR Bazaar, please.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna order a little bit and see what the quality looks like. But if it's good, I'll tell them, hey, bro, XMR Bazaar.
Yeah, I mean, we have a whole rating system on there and everything, right? So, it should be pretty cool, right? So if somebody's selling shitty Oreos, you can give them a bad rating.
Oh my god!
But I mean, I really want it to be that's really the value this platform offers, right? Is trust and reputation. So it's
that's a big deal actually. In fact, buying this from him, I was like, man, some random guy, It's like, well, do you have a social media? What's your presence? Like, how can I verify that you're not just some random freaking dude?
This is all built around that concept of trust or reputation. That's the value this thing offers. So people create an account. You can create it anonymously. All you need is a username and a password. You don't even need to put an email in to create an account.
Beautiful.
But then we ask you to fill out a profile. You don't have to put your social security number down there, but put links to your social media if you have one. And just describe yourself. We ask people to describe things you would want to buy with Monero, describe things you would be looking to sell for with Monero. And then, yeah, obviously you can rate people.
You'll have a 2FA implemented?
Rate the listings. So you'll be able to, look back if somebody has 10 listings in the past, and they all have thumbs ups, right? You'll know the person's trustworthy. What'd you say?
Is there a 2FA implemented?
Yeah, actually, I think there is.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, because without the email, in a lot of cases, 2FA can be useful.
Yes. But yeah, it's really cool. It's obviously non-custodial, so everybody holds their own Monero. Everybody does their own Monero transactions, and then we have the multi-sig feature built in with mediators. So if you're doing a large transaction, you're going to buy a motorcycle from somebody, you can send them Monero, and the Monero gets sent in, goes into a multi-sig wallet. And then it only gets released when there's a second signature, whether by the mediator or the person's selling the motorcycle. And it works. It's a pretty nice workflow. It's pretty smooth. And at no point does XMR Bazaar participate in that transaction at all. Everybody's holding their own keys, so it's pretty interesting.
This probably has been answered before, but if people were to list, like 1 Bitcoin in exchange for, I'd probably only let mine go for at least 1,000 XMR, or I'd probably only buy a Bitcoin for 1,000 XMR. Anyways, is it okay for people to list, trades like that, or do y'all prefer that doesn't happen, or do you kind of?
Yeah, I mean that's a good question, right? With everything that's going on right now, so obviously I wrote up a terms, but basically everybody's responsible for their own trades, right? They got to follow the laws in their jurisdiction. That being said, obviously there's things that we're clearly going to eliminate from the site that we see, any harmful activity, whatever. It'll be up to, this isn't at the end, this is curated by us at the end of the day, right? So things like people selling Monero right now, using it like local Monero, I'm probably going to want to shy away from that initially. Maybe people buying gold backs with Monero or selling gold backs for Monero, I think that's okay, or selling gold bars and things like that, obviously. But directly doing like crypto to crypto, I think we should stay away from initially. What do you think?
That's probably. I think it's probably a good idea. I would also tend to shy away from that. Mm-hmm. At the same time, it's like, well, it's hard to say.
I mean, we're not taking any fees. We're not participating in the transaction at all. So we're not making money off of.
Bro, that's so Chad. Holy shit. Yeah. So you guys aren't like profiting off. You just did this for the community, just cause.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to figure out how to make it sustainable, obviously. So like I said, at the end of the day, the value it offers is a trust and reputation engine, right? Platform for everybody to build out this circular economy. So I don't know if we charge in some way, right? We've talked about it on the show in the past. Maybe we do a fundraiser with releasing the open source code. Alaskanon had come up with that idea. I think it's a pretty decent idea, right? We have the code rather than just releasing it publicly right away. We say if we raise X amount of dollars, which will go towards a year of maintaining XMR Bazaar or whatever it is, or 5, then we'll release it.
I think that's a great idea.
Other ideas, I mean, you could pay paid listings, right? Maybe you want to, when it starts becoming popular enough, you may want to boost your listing so it goes to the top. You pay $1, right? So I think we could do things like that. Just use different revenue model, but one where we're not earning any revenue from the transactions themselves. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's probably a good way to avoid running afoul of the Pharisee lawyers, the Fed boys that would try and find the tiniest little scribble to leverage against you. So if you're not making gainful profit as a function of the operation of the platform, and it's just donations, individual donations for maintenance of open source code, right? Those are separate things. So it's closer to a CCS than it is than it is to profit.
Right. And then I think even if we charge for different things, right? Like I said, like I don't know, I could dream up 100, lots of different things, but things that people would pay for to get priority service on the platform, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Very cool.
All right, man. Yeah, we'll let you do price. I haven't been paying attention to price at all this week. What is going on with crypto in general? Are things on an uptrend, downtrend?
The everything's kind of on a mild uptrend. Monero's actually doing quite well, and the big news is Ethereum this week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was there ETF news or something?
There was indeed.
Oh shit! All right. Well, I'll let you take it away.
Cool. Well, roll credits. Oh, do we not have credits? I can't remember. Okay.
Yeah.
So I thought we lost a sponsor recently.
Oh, well, for this month.
Yeah.
And starting next month.
Yeah.
The Monerotopia Price Report segment is sponsored by Local Monero. Avoid using KYC exchanges. Buy and sell Monero directly for fiat, peer-to-peer.
Hey.
Alrighty.
Alrighty. We're gonna put you on mute for a second on our end,
Okay.
All right, take it away.
or
No,
we're gonna mute ourselves. Is what I mean. We gotta try.
Okay,
I'm gonna
so,
try to grab another. Yes, as you go. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, go for it, man. Grab a coffee. Take care of the espresso machine. Obviously, priority number one. Priority number two, make some cool trades, make some good trades. Which so far this week, Monero has been pretty good. We've been gradually moving up. Notice that our pleb line right here, this guy held pretty well. So broke through it, had a retest. This is pretty classic action that you would use for pleb lines, right? Yeah, you broke with strength, you came back down, kind of tested it, and then made a couple days above it, and then the price action has been positive ever since. So that's nice. We're looking at we can go to the weekly here and get a little bit of a better zoomed out view of what's going on. And effectively, there's this really long line that started in 2017 that we've drawn, and unfortunately, that was broken down last year, but there is some potential here. There's a long way to get back to this line, right? Getting back to the underside of this line would take some time. Typically, one thing I've seen in crypto is that if you break down a big line like this, there's often, because crypto does tend to go up and sometimes violently, there is a good chance at some point to try and touch the underside of this line again. Personally, I've just resolved myself that I'm not Monero is not about gains for me. I'm not here to be like, all right, let's, everyone buy Monero and we can all buy it together and pump this price more. I would like to see it continue going up steadily, but I would also like that to be concurrent with something like the transaction counts here. So you'll notice we had obviously the quote unquote black ball attack or whatever it was, spam attack that only lasted for a little bit. Kind of did us a favor, right? This revealed some growing pains, that things that were fixed in the wallet. That was good. And transactions have been kind of steadily bumping towards the upside here. It would be difficult for us to call this level of transactions an attack, like a black ball attack or a spam attack. Like, why the hell would someone pay extra money to bump the transactions from, I don't know, 25, 30 up to 40 and 50? They're not accomplishing anything. They're not getting much out of that. Like, okay, maybe you're kind of reducing a little bit the ring set size. Maybe you're targeting some specific outputs, potentially from what was that guy's name? With the Darknet market, Incognito, that that tried to rug, and then karma came back at him. Really weird situation. I think some of us suspected it's like he was so knowledgeable about privacy and then did so bad at his own OPSEC. Some of us were like, yeah, is this guy a Fed? What's going on here? But at any rate, who knows? What I do like here is that we're seeing the transaction counts have slowly moved to the upside. And that has been concurrent here with a little bit of price increase for Monero over the past, let's just call it month, almost 2 months now. So in a more general sense, in a more broad sense regarding our price, we effectively found the bottom after getting delisted from Binance, which interestingly, it wasn't the delisting. It was the news of the delisting that actually crushed price for a week. And then after that, we had some sideways action, but you'll notice we're still, it's just, this is the zone right here, right? This is obviously, apparently, this is XMR's stable, like fair market stable price minus the fractional reserve that's probably still happening on the exchanges that do have Monero. So it's, I mean, this is a good thing. Like a stable price, a stable value is a good thing. I like to see that. Let's take a look at the wave magic here, and you can kind of wave magic helps you to visualize certain things. You can eventually you get to the point where you can really just see it without having to necessarily turn it on. But yeah, these standard deviation bands that we've been inside of, you can see here the blue bands right there, right? Effectively, and at the very, very top right, you got those, and then kind of the bottom orange bands here as well. One thing that I do like, especially that we've gotten back into this lower orange band set right there. That's a really good indication that we're probably done with the worst of this crashing, or at least the Binance induced crashing. It's a very, very good thing to see us get back into this zone here. It actually establishes a type of strength that, hey, these bands actually do represent something that's important for us in a psychological sense. Monero does have this tendency to want to stay above the 130 mark. Like this zone is our fair value zone, if you want to call it that. Obviously, again, minus fractional reserve. So price doing well this week. Kind of glad, actually really glad to see it, because having bad price does dissuade your sort of fair weather patriots, right? Your sunshine patriots, the people that are in crypto for the freedom, but also for the gains, right? They're like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. That does dissuade people from using it. And I really, really hate to listen to that one laser-eyed group of people that will constantly just point at a chart and be like, oh, it doesn't matter about your freedom because I didn't make enough money off of it, right? That's just an annoying thing to have to constantly hear. So anyways, yeah, nice, good, steady gains here happening over the past month or so in Monero. That's can only be a good thing. And in the same vein, you will notice that the XMR BTC chart is also doing quite well. Well, not quite well, not in terms of, since last year, but in terms of the past few weeks. Yes, our prices relative to Bitcoin has been doing pretty well. With the recent pump that's happened, we've taken a little bit of a dip here in the last week, particularly this red candle, which was effectively motivated by the ETH ETF. So we'll talk about that. Colloquially, we could say the ETH ETF is approved. It's kind of approved. It's going to be approved. It's going to get listed. Right now, it's not listed. We'll talk about that in a second. But overall, yeah, I mean, again, still kind of establishing some sort of bottoming pattern here. Hopefully, probably, I still want to see this thing make it back to really where some kind of reasonable resistance and retest should happen. And a sane, rational market, which we've talked about since forever, markets are not sane, they're not rational, they're not efficient, and they're not organic. Still, though, even in irrational, inorganic, inefficient markets, you still should get some kind of reasonable price action that brings you back to a retest of previous levels. So this, again, this is just motivated by heavy speculation and probably leverage as well. So probably leverage, almost certainly leverage. Okay, same story here with the XMR ETH chart. You'll notice here that the fall off was more significant, again, because the Ethereum ETF had good news last week. We sort of talked about that last Saturday. But yeah, because it was the ETH ETF, right, XMR has not performed as well relative to ETH. Nevertheless, you'll notice here that that's still basically just exploring the bottom of the recent range. So this, again, still looks like a plausible bottoming pattern. This still looks like at some point it should make it up here. However, wave magic, again, as we've talked about before, statistics, when we're looking at like statistical metrics or visualizations, this doesn't tell you fundamentals, right? It can, and in a lot of cases, the evidence of insider knowledge shows up inside of charts and inside of technical analysis, inside of price action and the way that it unfolds. However, you can't just say for example, the Bitcoin regression. We can't just be like, oh, this regression is like perfect, it's magic, and statistical magic and praise science, right? We can't take that approach. We just have to understand what they're useful for and understand its limitations. Right now, what I'm telling you is that the limitation of the XMR divided by Ethereum chart, the limitation is that Ethereum is about to get listed as an ETF on the big, broad financial markets and is probably going to see significant real money inflows, which means that this chart, in terms of like, hey, this looks like a bottoming pattern. hey, you know, we should retest the underside of this wave magic line, the lower standard deviation bands. Normally you would say that that's what should happen in a sort of TA standpoint, but because the fundamentals are also telling us that Ethereum could be about to get some huge inflows of cash, this chart might break down. Like this chart could break down without actually hitting these levels that, you know, we kind of would have hoped to rebound to. So just know that that's out there. Know that again, like qualifying, trying to understand like what are the metrics, what are we looking at, and you know, and putting that into a broader context. So nothing to see with the price divergences here. Yeah, I guess Poloniex, you know, they went down to about 0.5% below Kraken. That's, you know, for Poloniex, that's actually really good. Very good for Justin Sun's activities. Let's take a look at XMR versus the gold price. Gold has also been doing quite well. I like this wave magic much better than I like the USD chart. I think it makes some sense to look at things versus gold, and I do notice that charts often are cleaner versus gold than they are against the US dollar. That makes some sense if you think about it, because the US dollar hides inflation and they do like tricky things, and it's not always the case. But at any rate, what we're seeing here is the very long-term lower standard deviations. Monero found kind of some support down there, and we're basically getting back into this range. I would expect that Monero should be able to effectively hold its price relative to gold for at least the coming months, and probably make some more gains. In general, what I would expect to see is these bands curling under, and then Monero sort of exploring some kind of range in here like that, because I am on somewhat of a bullish thesis on gold for the meantime. So gold is still looking pretty good. So that's what XMR looks like today on this lovely Saturday. Let's go ahead and pivot here and talk about Ethereum. So we had talked about it Saturday. We had talked about the Ethereum BTC chart, and I was kind of telling you guys, yeah, this chart looks terrible. However, this is actually probably a good opportunity to scoop up some XMR, like if you're into trading ratios and things like that, that nothing goes down a straight line forever, and that the Ethereum versus Bitcoin chart has had kind of like a long bleed out period here. And the other thing that also gets me is that, you know, like I just know in a fundamental sense that Ethereum does all the stuff that Bitcoin doesn't and can't. And the only thing that Bitcoiners can do now is talk about how eventually with some crazy layer 2 magic and Enigma network and UTXO sharing, and like, it doesn't matter, Opcat, you insert whatever little cute name thing they want. They're like, what they're saying now is we're going to be able to do everything Ethereum can. It's like, oh, great. Like when, you know, like, is that your claim to fame? Oh, okay, sure. And yeah, I know probably there's a lot of Bitcoiners in the audience right now that are turning over, that are shaking their fist through the screen at me. But anyways, the point is that Ethereum does a lot of stuff that Bitcoin doesn't, and Bitcoin can only hope that eventually it could do the stuff that Ethereum is doing with some crazy layer 2. The point is that when I see like a coin like Ethereum that has big market cap and big interest and has this like long-term fundamentally support line here, and then that gets broken down, even though we know the Ethereum ETF is going to get approved, this breakdown here is a combination of probably a little bit of like stop hunts and stuff like that, trying to induce fear, getting people to sell their positions off cheap, and then eventually reacquiring them. But it's also just in general, like people are fearful. People did believe the dumb narratives from maximalists that said Ethereum is a security and it'll never get approved, right? All the sailor kind of bullshit. So it's kind of probably a reflection of both of those. At the moment, you'll notice that it is testing the underside of this line that broke down. It was support, now it's resistance. I tend to think that there's a good chance that this line is going to get broken. It could take some time. You know, it was kind of it was a bit of an event that got things down there to that point. Obviously, Bitcoin had the halving, and it had runes, it had ETF, of course. So the thing is that Ethereum. Let's talk about specifically what happened, right? Let's actually analyze that. So there are two forms apparently that need to be approved. One of them is the 16B, I believe it's 16B4. What the SEC did is they approved the 16B4. Everyone thought they were gonna, like, it was 25% chance, like in the gambling markets or whatever. It was like something like 25% chance to be approved. And then on Monday or Tuesday, the SEC did an about face and then asked for all the companies, you know, BlackRock and Valkyrie, et cetera. They said, hey, can you update your 16B4 forms we need you to do an emergency update on those forms, which was a sign, hey, they're going to approve it. Then on Thursday, they said, okay, your 16B4s are approved, and everyone celebrated and popped the champagne, but that might have been premature because you still need to get the S1Bs approved. And the S1B is like the actual order that says, all right, listed on the exchange, it's go time. So right now it's not go time. And there's a lot of debate about, how long that will take. I wouldn't expect should necessarily take a long time. I don't see why the SEC would approve the 16B4s and then just be like, all right, just kidding. We're not going to approve this for like 3 months as we haggle over your actual final order to put the ETF onto the actual traded environment. Nevertheless, what do I know? And I also, one thing I do know is that Gensler and the SEC and these insiders, they do like to kind of jack things around a little bit. So there might be a little bit of opportunity for them here to play with this. Remember, when the Bitcoin ETF got approved, someone quote unquote hacked Gensler's, I can't remember if it was Gensler or the SEC, but someone hacked quote unquote their Twitter and said, oh, your Bitcoin is approved. And they're like, no, we didn't do that. It's not approved. And then like 24 hours later, it was approved. And so it was just like a whole weird thing. It's difficult for me to believe that they got hacked and that someone hacked them. Some black hat hacked their Twitter account to post that one thing when they could have posted any number of things that would have been, that they could have milked for even more profit. So anyways, who knows exactly how this is going to unfold. But the general point is that Ethereum is getting listed onto the traded environment of the traditional stock market. It's getting a spot ETF. So that means real cash inflows from boomers or from whoever's on the stock market. Real cash can now make its way into Ethereum via the stock market because that's what a spot ETF does. That's important for us. That signals the potential for alt season. That signals the potential for more gains in the Ethereum versus Bitcoin chart. And it destroys a lot of just bullshit narratives, right? It destroys a lot of the things. Maximalists have said since forever that the Ethereum's a security and it won't be approved. And it's just been wrong, right? Like, just yet another thing. Just add it to the list, guys. So I think that's good. I think that can only be a good thing. The maximalists were trying to milk the whole ETF thing for as much as they could for relative price performance. Rather than like taking a neutral position and trying to analyze reality, the markets, and our environment as best they can without like trying to, shill their own narratives. So anyways, with that out of the way, let's see. Oh, you know what? That's not quite out of the way. One thing I wanted to point out to you guys here is Link. Link, for whatever reason, gives us signal before something big happens. It's a little bit harder to see. Let me turn up the where's the style? No, that's not it. Here we go. All right, there we go. Make those lines a little bit thicker. Actually, let me zoom in more. I always forget that it can be hard to see things. Okay, so Link is in white, and I just want you to see here, Link pumped before everything else pumped back in February. And that was a signal that things were about to get saucy, right? Things were about to move to the upside. Now, it's a little bit harder to see right here, but you'll notice that, again, Link pumped almost solo, right? It pumped a good bit here, even though it was like kind of down in the doldrums for a while. But Link pumped, and then the Ethereum ETF got approved like right about here. So the news came on Monday that the SEC wanted them to update their forms, and then on Thursday the ETF the ETF got approved. Yes, it's approved, but it's still not listed, if you will. At any rate, the point is that that Link here tends to pump. When Link pumps solo against the rest of the market, that's a signal that something is coming, right? That typically has been a signal. Link pumped early here, back in November when things, were turning around. Like, again, Link pumped first. So my guess is that Link has something to do, so it's an Oracle chain, and it's a cross-chain Oracle. So my guess is that it has something to do with insiders taking positions on chain, and that Link is sort of maybe I need to really try and track this down at some point and figure out the mechanism why. But my sort of fuzzy guess on this, my fuzzy, I don't know, guess, is that Link has something to do with getting into and out of positions, crossing chains, so that insiders can make money on that, right? And so that's a signal that maybe they can't hide. Anyways, if you're interested, I think I can't remember if I published the Z-scores. I should publish Z-scores so that everyone can use it. Again, Z-scores being how an asset is performing relative to itself. relative to its own moving average, so that you can sort of overlay them all together at the 0 point. So yeah, that's shitcoins. Shitcoins didn't do anything. Obviously, ETH pumped, but we haven't seen much else. Things are relatively flat in that regard. We could take a quick look at Bitcoin here. You'll notice that it's basically riding at the top of this of its standard deviation bands right now. I guess this looks bullish, kind of. Bitcoin did break this pleb line to the upside, so that's good for Bitcoin. Take a look at the daily. So because the daily, when you're talking about breaking pleb lines and drawing structures, usually you want to go with like big time frames. So the daily is a big one, weekly, monthly. And then, if you're going to trade a little bit shorter term, the 4 hour, you can do that. I use shorter time frames with the 4 hour because the wave magic lines show up better. So we're looking here at Bitcoin, and this looks moderately bullish. Like this could plausibly move to the upside here. I don't know if that's what's actually going to happen. Personally, I have a hard time buying stuff that's gone up a lot in value, but I mean, currently the markets aren't flashing red signals at us necessarily. The signals aren't as unambiguously bullish as they were at the end of last year and at the beginning of this year, but this is plausible. You could see some more gains from Bitcoin. Personally, I don't see, like, if you're a trader, I can't see why the hell would you buy Bitcoin right here. Ethereum is the thing to buy. If you can catch a pullback, if you're lucky and you can catch a pullback on Ethereum, I would be buying that, because at some point, whether it's next week or next month, these S1Bs are going to get finished and Ethereum is actually going to get listed onto the stock market. And that's going to induce a significant amount of volume. Who knows how much, but it's going to at least induce some volume that matters for price. So if I'm betting right now, I'm not betting on Bitcoin, I'm betting on Ethereum. So maybe we can actually catch ourselves alt season round 2. Alt season round 1 was kind of weak, if you ask me. I think a lot of us were really hoping to get, like that 20x, the 50x, the 100x on these altcoins. And if you know how to play in memes, then maybe you could have made some of those gains. But alt season hasn't really, it's left something to be desired thus far. So with regards to alt season, here is the Bitcoin.D, the dominance of Bitcoin across compared to the rest of the crypto market cap. It's hovering above that 50% mark. It's doing pretty good, I suppose. Maybe not if you look in the long term, right? Zoom out. You can see that Bitcoin made it up here to 72% back in the day, right? Back before the medical tyranny bull market, the medical tyranny induced bull market. And it hasn't really been able to make it back to those levels at all. In fact, it kind of got stopped out here at the low of that saga, of that chapter of cryptocurrency. So at the moment, with Ethereum, getting its ETF, and one thing I thought, as a side note here, one thing I thought was funny is that rather almost like, I think I saw one on Twitter, it was like one Maximus was like, listen guys, I'm not going to shit you. I'm just going to take the L here. It is what it is. I was like, hey, respect, bro. Like, at least there's someone out there that can admit it. But in terms of like the narratives that we've seen now, it's like, Pepe Coin's about to get an ETF too, right? So they're at first, like, getting an ETF was like the sole magnificent shining crowning moment of Bitcoin milkshake taking over governments that have no choice, right? And that was the narrative for 4 months. And now the narrative is like, every shitcoin that every shitcoiner makes, like every meme is going to be on an ETF now, right? Like, notice the extreme vacillation there required. That is not a sign of intellectual honesty. Yet I digress. Bitcoin dominance right here. It would be plausible for this thing to fall out of its range. Remember, we talked about for the past few weeks that this does look a little bit like weakness. This does kind of look a little bit like it was rolling over. At this moment, it would not be surprising to see this thing kind of fall out of its range there. And if that happens, everyone's kind of looking at this chart. If that happens, we really could potentially expect to see some violent moves to the downside. Hopefully, I've still got some of my shitcoin positions rolling. So hopefully, I'd like to see those guys go up a lot in value, because who doesn't want gains, right? That's why we're here, is gains, and for no other reason. Just kidding. Okay, let's take a look at some of the alternative privacy coins, starting with, I guess, Dero. If we wanted to be derisive, we could start with Dero. But hey, maybe Dero deserves some derision here, because So one thing that I walked away from last week with the impression that only a certain number of transactions were going to get unrolled from Dero for like the last 6 months, and that it wasn't going to include sender and recipient. But the reality is that, and Luke Parker corrected me on this, the reality is that the entire chain is basically going to get unwound. Like, I'm exaggerating a little bit there, but if it's payload, and payload is, I can't remember, so it's amounts, and then it's also either sender or recipient. I can't remember which one it is, but effectively the entire chain was pwned. So yeah, the whole thing in Dero is getting unwound eventually whenever, the full attack vector is published. Not just the last 6 months. Maybe that was because I gave too much credit to our tech leads guest, ironically named Tech Leads, even though he doesn't apparently understand the tech. But anyways, Dero is taking a little bit of a tumble. This was an interesting kind of formation here. It kind of looked like, to me, that looked a bit like a buy wall, right? Like trying to support price. Like there was this hard level that somebody out there was trying to prevent Dero from going below, and now it's gone below that. So Dero only has bad things in store for price here for the near term, guys. Like it's not good. There's obviously, like, nothing goes down in a straight line. There's probably opportunities to pick up some reverse reactions here. But I just, like, what narrative do they have left? Like, when you fuck up that badly, your chain that has existed for, at least it's been trading for 4 years now, and the whole thing gets unwound, like that is unsurmountable, unrecoverable trust lost. Like, that's, what are you going to do? Like, you don't be getting into Dero, guys, thinking that you're getting a privacy coin. Just wait for DarkFi. They're going to merge mine with Monero. Like, we should be friends. We shouldn't be in competition. And I felt like Dero had this sort of affinity scam vibes the whole time anyways. Like, sorry if you liked Dero. Sorry if you lost money on Dero. That sucks, But hey, that's what happens when you speculate on new tech, especially new tech that was done by like one dude, right? Or like a couple guys. Okay, so now we've got Xano here.
You think we get him to participate in Monerotopia?
I don't even know, honestly. Like, I don't want to be too toxic here, but I don't even know why you would want them to. Like, they're done. Like, they've got no trust left.
I mean, is there any interest in what they're doing with their tech though, from a technical standpoint? Like, if they, if it can be reformed into a version that's not corrupted,
that would be a question for Luke.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the one that found the bug. If there's anything interesting there, I would imagine.
Yeah, I'm sure Luke can fix Dero if he wanted to. All right, I'll let wrap it up when you can, because I just have people waiting to jump on now. We rounded up.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Yes. Yep. No worries.
I'll be out in 3 minutes flat, bro. Okay, so we'll skip Xano. Buy Xano if you want. I don't know. GameStop had its moment, and then it fell back down. You have to suspect that insiders are now playing with this, that they're now kind of juicing the social media. I just thought we should take a quick look at that, and just for fun. There was macro. Nothing interesting has happened in macro. Gold took a little bit of a pullback. Maybe there's one interesting thing slightly. The U.S. liquidity is dropping off here. It's not that it's any major drop off, but it has been falling. That's not exactly a good sign, right? That's a sign of hey, where's the money going to come from for more gains? Maybe the federal government will just print another $1 trillion. Reverse repos have flattened out. You can see they're sitting here flat. I wouldn't expect necessarily that this should go anywhere. Probably they're going to save some juice for the election if they really want to get Biden reelected. They do that. They would need every little part of the narrative to just like fit together as much as they can. Okay, whatever. Dollar index still in this kind of this sort of down channel right here. Just playing with everyone's emotions. Just kidding. Nobody cares about the dollar index. We only use it to figure out what the rest of the market's going to do. Macro stuff, nothing here, nothing important here, nothing signaling us in the bond market that there's trouble ahead, at least not in the immediate term. One thing, so one of the big things I did want to point out was the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ had something that's called an engulfing bearish candle. You'll notice we're on the daily. An engulfing bearish candle is when you open higher, and then like you open higher than the previous day. And in fact, we opened higher than it opened at all-time highs on Thursday, but then it just fell down and it actually closed lower. Let's take a look at the weekly. Yeah, the weekly doesn't show that, but the daily definitely does. So that's called a bearish engulfing pattern or candle, and usually that tends to be bearish. So that doesn't necessarily, again, like don't take me wrong here. That doesn't mean that like that it's over and we're going to crash 50% of the stock market now. But it does kind of signal the potential for some pullback here, for some amount of pullback that could happen. So I will just show you this very, very briefly. This is the regression analysis on the S&P 500. I did this the other day, and I meant to show it to you guys like a week or two ago. I don't know why I didn't. I guess I just forgot. Anyways, this is the regression analysis. So the green is the lower boundary of the S&P 500, and then the blue is like the best fit line of all of the data. I only analyzed it starting from 1913 and on. The astute listener here will understand why 1913 was the date that we started the regression analysis. But I just thought it was interesting. Maybe I'll publish that later or something. I don't know. With that, I guess I've rambled on long enough, bros, and happy trading, happy times. Don't get wrecked. Peace. Senor Tuman. Hello.
Hello. Are we losing you?
No. I think maybe you're just muted.
Okay. We're ready to rock and roll over here on our end.
Yeah, I'm done
with our guest. Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry, you kind of cut out on the last second there.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and run the guest segment over here.
Cool. Later, guys.
All right, man. Thank you. All right.
The Monerotopia guest segment is sponsored by Cake Wallet. Store, send, receive, and exchange your Monero and Bitcoin safely on iOS and Android too. Cake Wallet is open source, and you always control your own keys.
All right, we're back live at the Libertarian National Convention, and I'm here with Lisa
Ekman.
Lisa Ekman. Lisa, if you can, briefly introduce yourself. I know that there's many things we could talk about, but let's start with a brief introduction.
So briefly, I was a Democratic advocate and lobbyist, a lawyer here in Washington, D.C. for 20 years. And during the COVID pandemic, the attacks on our liberty, especially our First Amendment rights, woke me up to the fact that the Democrats were leading us down a slippery slope of tyranny. And I'm a classical liberal, and so when you start censoring people's speech, with the right to assemble, their right to protest, to freely associate, and freely practice their religion, not practice a religion, then you lost me. And the people who censor are never on the right side of history. So I woke up and I decided to, once I put my brain back together, because it is very humbling, and when you realize you're wrong about everything, and being able to admit that is hard. Being able to admit that publicly, especially when you have been very vocal about what you believe, is.
So you were an active Democrat. You were.
Yes, I was an active Democrat. I was the president of the Law Democrats at my law school. I worked for Ted Kennedy at one point, so it kind of gives you how brainwashed and how indoctrinated into what I would call the progressive cult I was. So waking up, sort of my entire reality shattered, and once I put myself back together, I said, I feel like our country is in real danger. Our constitutional republic, the very basic foundation of what makes America unique and special, is at risk, and I can't be silent. So I decided to write a book, and that book is called
Deprogramming Democrats.
And I decided to do everything I could to wake other Democrats up and help people who want to help people or wake up. And so I decided to come here because although I'm not quite ready to join another party, the Libertarian Party most matches my values. And I have been networking and trying to help Libertarian candidates understand how they might reach Democrats or former Democrats who are independents to help fight for liberty and freedom.
Which is great. I mean, I see, at the end of the day, everybody here is here for liberty, right? So no matter what form it gets to people is a good thing, right? So if people want to stay in registered Democrats or stay registered Republicans, but opening up their eyes to some of the hypocrisy of what they may believe in their own camps, that they need to come out of that trance, like you said. How are you proposing to deprogram a Democrat?
So that's a hard question because it really is an individualized process. Nobody as a Democrat arrives to their programming and their indoctrination in the same way, so they're not going to be able to leave it. But the first thing that you have to do, one of the things that indoctrination does, especially through our school system, is shut down the capacity to ask questions, to question things. So, and the other thing that it does is create what I would call a monopoly on knowledge. So if you are a Democrat, if someone hasn't been educated and credentialed, they're not going to take your word for it. They idolize the expert. And so
that is so true. I mean, that's part of how the whole system works, right?
Right. And I would say that establishment Republicans sort of idolize the experts. They're just different experts too. So this could work on some Republicans as well, but my experience is with Democrats, so that's what I'll mostly speak to. And the idea is to ask them questions, because most leftists live with a great deal of cognitive dissonance. They hold ideas that can't go together, but their brain is somehow able to do that. So when you ask them questions designed to increase the level of cognitive dissonance until the point where their brain can no longer hold those two ideas, and then their brain will break, and then they can start thinking again. And that's really what the goal is, because most Democrats don't question what the party tells them. They take the talking points and they repeat them. So when you can get them to start asking questions and thinking again, that's the first step.
When you had your kind of wake up, you said it was in 2020, right? When you woke up, when you were I'm sure you were approaching your peers at that time, fellow Democrats, people, friends, whatever, and talking to them about these issues. What kind of responses were you getting?
So in 2020, my situation was actually kind of unique. When COVID hit and they started to lock DC down, I got out of DC because I didn't know how it was going to go. And I'm an avid reader and I watch a lot of movies, and generally things don't go well once things start getting locked down. So I got out of DC and I went to an RV with my then boyfriend, and we went to West Virginia near his family. So I deprogrammed myself outside of the bubble. And I think that helped a lot. If you think back to the 1970s, when there was a lot of deprogrammers for cults, first thing they do is they take the person out into the nowhere. And so they quit getting all the messages.
You opted out is what we like to call it in Monero land.
Yes, I totally opted out. And I bought the COVID narrative hook, line, and sinker at the beginning. My boyfriend didn't. We were fighting. He kept asking me questions. He kept pushing me to research for myself. And I started at that point to see the censorship that was happening on the left. And they were saying, well, don't research because those aren't the facts. That's not true. And that dissonance in my brain, started making me think I need to research. And then he asked me the question that finally sort of broke the dissonance in my head. I had long been filtering water and drinking clean water. And he asked me this question. He said, if they'll poison our water, what won't they do? And my brain could not answer that question because as you know, water is essential for life. We're made up of 70% water. So if they're poisoning the most essential thing for us, what won't they do? And the big block for me was I just couldn't believe the government would be doing what they were doing during COVID on purpose to hurt us. And once that break left, then I went down all the rabbit holes.
Right. Once you see if they're willing to do that, what else are they doing that we're not even that cognizant of? Because that one was right in our face.
Oh, right in our face. And the other thing was that I had done a lot of research and had changed the way I was eating and filtering my water, because I helped my mom to, at least for a while, beat cancer through nutrition and supplementation and detoxification. So I had learned a lot about what actually makes us sick and what keeps us healthy. And everything they were recommending was really against what keeps us healthy. So isolation, fear, all of those things are very damaging to your immune system. Keeping us inside where you can't get
separating us from our families, our religion, being able to go practice your religion at your church.
Exactly, all of those things. And so in combination with the fact, so our government doing all of that, and our government is poisoning our water, poisoning our food, led me to then be able to question everything else our government has done and is doing. And once that happens, all of the lies become really obvious. And then I was also watching them censor in real time, and I was watching them actually what I would call our Ministry of Truth, because I reread George Orwell's 1984 during the pandemic, and it was scary because of how clear it was what they were doing. But I watched them along with what I call the Mockingbird media, because we don't have a free and independent legacy media in this country. It's very much propaganda. I was watching them rewrite headlines to rewrite history in real time. And technology is amazing for that, because without the internet, I wouldn't have been able to know they were doing that. But that also helped me go, okay, I'm not going crazy. I'm actually awake and in control of my own mind for the first time in a very long time.
So some of the ideas you keep mentioning is this ability for governments to censor, right? Which I think is a good segue to a technology like Monero, which intends on being censorship-resistant, surveillance-proof digital cash, allowing anyone, anywhere in the world to transact with anyone, anywhere else. That's also, being able to see the transaction, only spending, a fraction of a cent, completely private digital cash, a utility that no government controls or can manipulate or cooperation can. What are your thoughts on that concept? And and is this a tool that society needs to avoid such dystopia that we're talking about here?
100%, I think it is. And, I will first say that physical cash needs to stay around.
But it's not the way that's happening. Ship has sailed.
Having said that, 100% that is needed. One of the most important amendments that has just from our Bill of Rights that has been completely gutted and decimated is the Fourth Amendment. Every transaction I have with you, every conversation I have with you should be, the government shouldn't be able to see it or track it, but they can, and they do. And especially the younger people the less they even know what the Fourth Amendment is, and the less they are aware that everything they're doing is being tracked and followed. I talk about this in my book, but most people don't realize that pretty much all the internet technology was created with money given by our intelligence, Defense Advanced Research Administration, the NSA, and all of the internet companies have ties to those intelligence agencies. And so when you say something or do something online, it's almost 100% trackable, and the government almost never needs a warrant to look at what the data that those companies have. And when you agree to those terms of service to use that website or to use that app, you're agreeing to that. And so I will admit that I don't have money invested in crypto for the very reason that you mentioned. When it runs, ransomware scheme, and they pay in Bitcoin, and the FBI can immediately get that Bitcoin back, which we saw happen. We have seen happen on numerous occasions now. It's clear that those transactions are in fact being tracked, and so
that's it. That was the moment that opened your eyes to that, right? When you saw that large ransomware hack with the pipeline, the Colonial Pipeline, and yeah, they caught the guys because of the traceability of Bitcoin.
Absolutely, and so and I will admit that kind of turned me off to crypto because. I am very aware of how the social credit score system in China works. And so when you go all digital and the government can track it, they then also have the ability to shut it down. And so in China, if you are saying things against the regime, if you are doing things that the regime doesn't like, your social credit score goes down. And if it gets to a red level, you can't get money, you can't buy groceries, you can't go anywhere. And if we go to a central bank digital currency here without an option that is not traceable and not trackable, I am very worried about our own future and our First Amendment rights and other rights for if we go to that system without an ability to have the ability to transact with other individuals without the government knowing.
Any thoughts, insights on how far things may go in terms of the government's trying to prevent technology like Monero from being adopted?
Well, I think it's sort of a good news, bad news situation. They seem to be really behind, the 8 ball, so to speak, on getting any kind of regulation around digital currency and other things, which is a good in some ways. But I think that maybe that's because they haven't seen a large threat. And if it gets to the government sites that Monero is a threat, I could see them moving aggressively to try to limit the ability to use it. And I will admit that I am not, very tech savvy or crypto savvy, so I don't understand how maybe it works that it isn't simple. But I would guess that they would their brightest minds at the NSA on figuring out how to track it. And so,
do you think they would ever try to outright ban it, or that would be too much of an infringement on the Bill of Rights?
It's really hard for me to say. I wouldn't have thought they would have done a lot of things that they already have. And I think that
to try to justify banning code, open software that people are running on their computers would be a real stretch.
I think it would be a real stretch, but I also thought it would be a real stretch that I would ever hear my government use the word disinformation, misinformation, or malinformation when talking about citizen speech that was criticizing our government. So what I think has happened is, when Donald Trump got elected, the establishment viewed that as a big threat to their power. And so power over principle. And I don't know that they respect the Bill of Rights. And I'm not just speaking about Democrats here. I'm speaking about Republicans as well. Because when, power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely, threats to power then make the ends seem to justify the means. And so while I agree that finding the constitutional justification to ban untraceable crypto would be very challenging, that doesn't mean they won't try it. Mask mandates were completely unconstitutional. They did it anyway and let the Supreme Court strike it down. So the other thing they might do is ban it, knowing that the ban will be overturned. But in the meantime, they have it suppressed. And that, I think, is a tactic that especially the Biden administration, but I wouldn't put it past.
They've delisted it from all major exchanges. Kraken still has it in the U.S., but yeah, they've used other methods to basically clamp down and make it difficult for people to obtain Monero. But in Monero, I mean, the community kind of, anytime an action like this is taken, there's almost kind of been celebration, right? Banning Monero for centralized exchanges. Well, what does that do? That forces people to obtain Monero in other ways, in actual ways where they're not easily KYC'd. Anybody that's purchasing crypto on exchanges gets KYC'd. So now you're kind of pushing Monero into the shadows, but that's also forcing it to be able to grow on its own and survive in the shadows, almost making it stronger is the standpoint for a lot of people in Monero.
And I can really understand that. And I guess what I think maybe right now, maybe the Monero is ahead of where the intelligence agencies are on trying to keep control of digital currency. I would bet that as they continue to try to move to a central bank digital currency, they will do their best to figure out how they can ban it. But I will also, give credit to the designers and say maybe, they'll stay one step ahead. But I would expect to see, as the move towards central bank digital currency becomes stronger, that the efforts to block any development or use of any kind of current digital currency outside of that central bank digital currency will accelerate. And if we're going to a central bank digital currency in a move to go towards a social credit system like China, there will be no respect for the Bill of Rights. Once we reach that point, that's gone. So that won't be something that I think will hamper those same individuals from trying to block any untraceable digital.
Get your guns now, get your Monero now before it's more difficult to do so, because you're going to need it.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Elisa. Here's the book. Guys, check it out. I think it's very cool, Deprogramming Democrats. The fact that you went through this process and you've thought deeply about how to convince people in your prior party how to leave the dark side and come to the light of liberty. It's really important because you're at the forefront of where the party or these ideas need to start to grow, because everybody here in this room, they're already on board, right? We're preaching to the choir here. The only way we make progress is getting these ideas and memes out to the broader community, to the masses beyond the whatever 5% of the population that already understands why liberty is so important.
Well, I think two things I'll say just to end it, and that is that I believe our constitutional republic is in grave danger, and we are at the precipice of losing what our forefathers fought so hard to establish, this unique constitutional republic in the world. And everybody who can speak up needs to, because we the people have immense power, but we've given it away by being complacent and comfortable, and we need to be willing to step out of that comfort zone, speak up, and take our power back.
And just use Monero and opt out.
There you go.
All right. Thank you so much. Greatly appreciate it. That was awesome. All right. We got more people that want to jump up over here, which is great. This is the perfect segue, actually. We're talking about potentially banning Monero, and we have the premier expert on the topic himself. I'll just go back and forth, I guess. He's running a campaign on why we must ban Monero. Is that correct, sir?
That is. I run the website banmonero.com. And Monero is money for terrorists. So, when you use Bitcoin or just your bank account, the government can see what you're doing. And that's good. It makes us all safe and warm and happy inside, because no one's doing any crimes. But with Monero, they can't do that. So that's why we need to call the government and ban Monero.
And if enough of us do that, what might happen?
Well, when we say, for example, there's a gun crime, and you call the government, you say, you know what? I don't like this gun stuff. Let's ban guns. All the crime goes away, right? Or people do drugs. People overdose on fentanyl. So you call the government and you say, well, let's ban fentanyl. And the problem goes away, right? The government keeps us safe. So we should ban Monero.
It's worked in the past. Why not do it now?
No, but seriously, it's obviously a joke. But I'm a big Monero fan. I'm probably the biggest fan at the whole convention. I'm one of the delegates for the Nevada, state of Nevada. Currently the silver, but maybe we can make it the Monero state.
That would be amazing.
It would be great. I'm also, I'm around a lot in the Monero community. I have a podcast where we teach about taking control of your own sovereign, your data, your own farmland. We do the whole thing.
What podcast is that?
It's called The Canary in the Cage. So we got like 2 viewers right now, but hopefully we'll pick up maybe one more from you guys. And Monero's one of our big things. We give away Monero on every episode. So even if you don't like us,
you're gonna pick up viewers now. Here you go.
If you don't care about our ranting or any of we talk a lot of nonsense. Come for the free Monero.
Fantastic. And you throw Monero meetups as well, or you were saying in Vegas?
I am not the organizer. You actually might know the guy, Mike Groove from Las Vegas. Yeah.
The shroom guy.
Yes. He's a friend of mine. We're trying to set up a whole thing where we get a lot of local merchants coming on board. We're going to give them POS systems. We're going to have them do their own accounting. It's all going to be self-contained, self-sovereign, self-custodial. They're going to run a node. We're going to set it all up for them, and we're going to hope to get the whole city on a circular economy with Monero.
Holy shit, man. As you make progress with that, please jump on this show anytime. We have our guests that we make it super easy. Jump on anytime. Would love to follow that project. And if you're really serious about it and you're making you might want to do a Kuno or something. I mean, that's something the community would certainly get behind. You think you can get traction there and start getting people to adopt it in their stores?
Yeah, we already have a couple stores that are doing Litecoin and Bitcoin Cash. Monero's a little harder because we have to do the self-custody thing. But we're going to actually donate, machines that are powerful enough to run a node, and then write the POS for them, or find something that's usable.
We have the Monero Nodos that we're producing. Maybe that, I don't know if, those are, we're selling them for a decent price. I don't know if that fits the bill, or you're looking for something more.
Let's talk about that, because we were looking at I won't mention the competitor, but we were looking at open source solutions to do this, and we will check yours out as well.
That's fantastic, man. I'm loving this. Who else is working with you on this?
Like I said, Mike Groove. There's a guy named Steve. He's a big help. There's a guy on Twitter I recruited. He's not from Vegas, but he's interested in getting this out to other cities. He goes by David Black on Twitter. So right now,
are you guys organizing anywhere? You're in a group somewhere on Matrix or anything?
We do have a Signal chat. If you want to contact me directly, go to thecanaryinthecage.com, our podcast website. You can get all my contact info from there, and then I can hook you up. I'm also on Twitter. I'm a big troll, so you might not see my posts show up. They'll be hidden.
I've been seeing the band Monero. Every time I see it, I click on it.
That's not me. I don't know who.
Oh, that's not? I thought that was you. No, but you're the band Monero website.
Yes, I run the website, but I don't know who is spamming my Twitter, my link on Twitter. I don't know who that is. So some guy just found it, and he's like, "Oh, ban Monero."
It's probably somebody who actually does want to ban Monero. He's like, "Look at this! Look what I found."
It might be, but hey, good. Any publicity is good publicity for Monero, especially when you get people thinking about, what do you mean ban? There's the whole Streisand effect, where people want to do what you won't let them do. So if people think there's a campaign to ban Monero, people might want to get into Monero and realize, oh, it can't be banned. You're just running math on your computer. You can't ban that.
So if we call enough Congress people, we could get that Streisand effect in full effect in no time.
If you have, there's a lot of people in the so-called privacy space that will not say the word Monero, and it pisses me off to no end. But if you get a famous person to just say the word, boom, man, like Google spikes goes up. People will download the app, Kick Wallet or whatever wallet you prefer.
I would just wanted to get RFK Jr. to say the word, or Vivek. That was kind of part of my mission here, but it's been proven to be a little difficult.
It's hard. It's definitely hard. That's why I kind of go the troll route, like to get them not so offended that they block me, but offended enough to respond, and just get the conversation going.
Are you familiar with XMR Bazaar? Do you know that we're launching that?
You did tell me that earlier, but
okay, yeah, just bringing it up because some of these ideas are talking about, like, any business that you get added, you could also we have a business listing, so it could show the map where they are, Vegas, whatever. People will know to find them.
Yeah, that sounds great. Like, let's discuss and get it going.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Greatly appreciate it. Wait, Sunita, do we have the gold backs guy? Oh no, go get him. Oh my God. All right, get Ben though. Definitely want to get Ben on. Thank you so much, man. Be in touch. Jump in the XMR Bazaar element room. Awesome.
I'm Dennis Pratt. I ran PorkFest for the last 5 years.
Oh shit! You're the guy that runs PorkFest?
Yeah.
Wow. Much respect.
Big in Free State Project.
Wait, hold on. Let's see. We got to get you a mic, or you got to talk into this one because people can't hear you. Go ahead, put the headphones on. Hold on. You're a big dude. We need a. All right, what's going on, man? You want to quickly introduce yourself?
Yes.
And I'm meeting you for the first time as well.
So my name is Dennis Pratt. I live in the Free State, New Hampshire, which is a migration of libertarians into one area. The one thing that you need for a liberty society, the most important element that you need for liberty society is libertarians. And so we're solving that problem, not by converting people to libertarianism, but by getting the most rabid libertarian people all into one state. And there we're doing lots of liberty things, including we're the #1 state in crypto. We have people who are living on crypto full time. They have no fiat. They have no filthy fiat. We have people who use Monero. But I think that's we're also seeing the state come after people in New Hampshire the most, right? They came after Ian Freeman and the Crypto 6. They came after Library and Odyssey of Jeremy Kauffman. So we're seeing, if you look to New Hampshire, that's your future, right? Because the more libertarian,
It's the Silicon Valley of liberty.
oh, it is. It's so the idea is, how do you have a Chinatown if no one else is Chinese and you're the only Chinaman? You go, oh, well, geez, I'm just going to call this China. No, you have to actually aggregate with other Chinese. And now all of a sudden you have Chinatown. The gay migration to San Francisco, right? The gays are totally lost in some small town. They finally make it to San Francisco. They go, oh my God, thank God. And that's the feeling that libertarians have when they move to the Free State, because they're going, I've been banging my head against the wall for all this time. And so they move there, and a lot of people go, oh, it's so fantastic because New Hampshire is the #1 freest state, and there's all these fantastic things that are happening. And they go, I'm going to move there for the political piece. It's not a political piece. When people get there, it is the community. It is being able to be amongst like-minded people. We have the most guns, the most, the best gun laws, the homeschoolers, the best homeschoolers, and crypto. So people are trading crypto, all the different cryptos. That's interesting because it's a real marketplace in crypto right now. So I'm excited that you guys coming out to PorcFest.
I've been there a few times, and everything you're saying, I can't agree more. I mean, my first time I went was I climbed Mount Washington, and I didn't really get to experience the Liberty side of things. But the second time I went was PorcFest, and when I showed up, it was everything I imagined and much, much more. And it was beautiful to see. Everybody was there, families, children, participating in open and free society and commerce, selling goods and services openly, crypto being used out of like real need, not just out of a show, but people actually wanting to accept it because they knew when they accepted it, they could turn around and buy something else off of somebody else. And like you said, 100%, the best part of the vibe was that everybody there agreed with these ideals. So you're not there trying to convince anybody of everything. You're just living the liberty dream there.
I was talking to Julian Assange's brother, who's here at this convention, and he was talking about what a relief it is to be at the LP convention, because he's talking to all these people who think that Assange is some sort of criminal, and everyone here is going, no, he's a hero. And he goes, you mean I don't have to make that case? And that was my feeling. I went to PorcFest the first time in 2011. And I had been, by that time, 30-some years a libertarian. And I've been talking basically to walls that entire time. Do you think that you possibly own your own body? I have to start there. Or do you have a master who owns your body and can tell you how to live your life? And so I have to start. But when I went to PorcFest, everyone was like, well, of course. And we started talking at here. And so, and that's true also of all the crypto people. When you go to PorcFest or you go to the Free State, you're already kind of in a place where you're not starting from ground zero. You're not starting from level 1. You're starting from up here. And we want to be, we're actually passing crypto legislation. We're working on crypto legislation. We're looking at nullification. We have a bill right now to nullify any CBDC that comes through. So we're working on.
Would you ban any banning of Monero?
No,
Ban the banning of Monero in the state of New Hampshire.
That's right. Right. So New Hampshire, we want it to be totally free. So you make your own decisions.
What is the CBDC law though? It's the banning of implementation of a CBDC?
That CBDC, I'm not particularly familiar with that particular law. We have so many different liberty activities. That's not actually my area isn't even in politics. My area is in community building. That's what I do. I build really big communities. We have 7 different community centers where Benjamin, your next speaker, has actually been to and traded gold backs there. But they're trading crypto and stuff like that. So, but we have 7 places where we have liberty communities. So I build those. I build PorkFest. I do community building. But we have
that's amazing, man. We throw our conference Monerotopia this is our 3rd year doing. First one was in Miami. Second one was in Mexico City, and now this 3rd one will also be in Mexico City. But there's from attending PorkFest, there's a real PorkFest vibe at the conference. We have a marketplace built into the conference where everybody's accepting Monero. It's a local Mexican marketplace that comes, but they all agree to accept Monero. So it's a very cool vibe. But maybe you have thoughts, ideas, on how we could get the people that attend PorkFest knowledgeable of Monerotopia, or kind of bring those communities together.
Yeah, well, I mean, I really urge people who have something like this, like Monerotopia, to come, and you have two things to do, right? One, you talk to all the different businesses that are there. Last year we had 125 different hubs that were doing different things. Some were venues, some were lounges, but a lot of were vendors. And basically make sure that they know how to accept Monero and that they're over that learning curve, right? And then just hold, intro to Monero, why you should have Monero. Just have talks continuously. And last year we had 2,400 attendees. And so every single one first of all, the ones in the Free State, they're already kind of knowledgeable, but they may be using something else. So why not say, and here's something else, right? Because when goldbacks came, they came 3 years ago, and no one was using goldbacks, and it's taken off. Every single year, more and more people are using goldback. As a matter of fact, I'll show you. I actually have a goldback.
It's my daughter's favorite medium of exchange by far.
So I just happen to have a goldback.
Mine too.
In my wallet. I was looking the other day.
I love tipping people with the gold bag. I really like, wow, I'll take it. I don't know what it is, but I'll.
Yeah. So it's a lot. It's a lot of fun. But and I would like to see Monero be like that. Where everyone's like going, oh yeah, I'm using Monero. I'm using.
I'll trade you some Monero for goldbacks right now. I'm hoping to make a deal with our next guest over here.
Well, all my Monero's back in New Hampshire. I just happen to have one. I was like looking through my wallet. I go, oh hey, there's a goldback. So I really want you guys to come out and inundate the entire festival with Monero. Be really aggressive. Make sure all the vendors are on board, and then teach the people who come how to use Monero and to use it. And maybe have some sort of promotion that if they use it within the festival, because you only have to use it a few times, right? And then all of a sudden you go, oh, I got it, right? The problem is that they don't have enough trial, and if you live in the Free State, you have restaurants that will take it. You have a whole bunch of different places that will take it. But if you live in the authoritarian 49, it's really hard to figure out how to use it. So let them use it.
Let me bring up Ben. That was so awesome. I see Ben's got a lot of people he's got to talk to too. Thank you so much, man. Honor meeting you. Were you one of the guys that helped start PorkFest as well? I know you're running it now, helping to run it.
Yeah. So no, I took it over about 5 years ago. I redesigned it. I doubled its size. And
you're doing an amazing job, man.
One of the things I did was I made it kind of mini festivals. So PorkFest is kind of a model of a Liberty Society. Now, we're getting to the point now in New Hampshire that you just come up to New Hampshire anytime. DM me, I'm Dennis Pratt free. I'll give you half price off at a Free State Inn. And you just spend the week and you go to an event every single day. And just, and we have crypto meetings, multiple crypto meetings a week. So, and we actually have the longest running crypto meeting in a meetup in the world.
I'm gonna go. This will probably be my third time doing it. I'll set up my coffee there, and we do great. But how do we? Any recommendations on like can we become a speaker or something? Is it you mentioned like doing educational things?
Well, no.
I know we could just like on our own. We could be like come to our tent or something, right? What are the best ways if we wanted to get the word out there?
The best way is turn your tent into a hub, and then have your talks there. Intro to Monero. How to use Monero. What I don't know what the talks would be, but try to hit the various segments. There's going to be a lot of people who have never used any crypto, so you can hit them. There's going to be people who use other crypto, and why should they add Monero? You got
me thinking now. I'm going to have to amp it up. We've had these ideas, but yeah, it's a big undertaking, but it's so valuable.
It's not for you. You've been talking about this.
No, I know. Trust me. Yeah, we'd run like a little mini conference there.
Yeah. So just organize it and put it on the schedule, right? Put on the schedule, Monero, how to use Monero, intro to crypto, Monero, and just have it at the Monero hub, and now all of a sudden everyone's going to your hub to learn about Monero, right? As opposed to, you're hoping someone passes by. Don't do that. Don't do that.
They're talking to the expert here. Sometimes I'm too aggressive. Thank you, man. Right. I appreciate it. Very nice meeting you. All right. Sunita, get his contact info. Yeah. All right, Ben, man. Thank you for so patiently waiting. Sorry about that.
Hey, you have a lot of exciting guests on, so I'm excited to be on too.
Yeah, we do have a lot of exciting guests. Yeah, go ahead and get those on for a sec. Oh, there you go. All righty. Now, you've been on before, but go ahead and give a quick intro for those that don't know you.
I'm Benjamin Shaffer. A lot of people call me the Goldback guy, but it's more than that, right? The Goldbacks are awesome. We love them because they're a cash solution, right? But there's also a reason why we love Monero, right? Because it is a non-cash solution. The big problem that we've had is that what we really need to do is find a way for crypto and gold to get together and have a baby. Right? We need to find a way that we solve all of these financial problems all at once. And so we've got a new project going, and I'm excited to announce it with you.
What is that? I'm very excited to hear it.
All right. So we started a new company called the Finance Company. The Phi is PHI instead of F. PHI Nance. So finance.gold, PHINANCE.gold. Is the website. And the idea is what we're going to try to do is we're trying to put these on the blockchain. And not just these, but also U.S. minted legal tender gold, the gold eagle from the U.S. Mint, on the blockchain. And when we do that, we're going to have the ability to have gold transactions that are actually crypto transactions.
You mean it'll be backed by goldbacks?
So that's the basic idea of all stable coins, is that they've got some kind of asset and then they back it up. But here's the biggest problem with stable coins too. Stable coins are all centralized. The whole point of something like Monero is absolute freedom and not having any institution who can control or hold or take away what you own, right? What we've done is we have invented the world's first decentralizable blockchain. We've already got 3 people willing to become the first 3 nodes, 3 different companies. And what they're going to do is it's a multi-factor authentication system so that only gold that is vaulted, independently audited, and independently insured will then be able to be tokenized, so that we can bridge that gap between what is digital assets and what is physical assets. The digital asset becomes...
But you'll be physically vaulting gold, correct?
Yeah, but not just us. That's my point. It won't just be, oh, trust me, your gold's in the vault. That was the problem with the gold standard that we had in the U.S.
Yeah, 100. That's how they authenticate it.
Right, and then they just do what's called fractional reserving, and instead of actually having all of your gold and silver, they take some of that gold and silver and they'll put out too many certificates against too little precious metals. This is going to be multi-factor authentication. So in other words, there's no way to fractional reserve it. There's no way to change the entry, the same as any other cryptographic system. A blockchain
But just so I think but how are you overcoming that problem of having the gold on hand that you guys say you have it on hand? How is that getting decentralized? I'm missing that big point.
Yeah. So the big point there is that it's going to be independently verified and deliverable. Okay. So it's not just about, oh, trust me or trust them or trust.
How is it independently verified?
It's independently verified by an auditor who carries a different key. So you can think about it this way. When you think about crypto, it's all about having the right keys. Well, we've got a smart contract system developed. It's already successfully being beta tested, where the blockchain itself holds a key to the creation of a token, but also a separate key is held by the auditors who verify that it's there. And those auditors have to make sure that the gold is also insured. So 3 keys to create one token. And then once that token's created, you know that when it's traveling in commerce, that your gold is safe because it's been verified by 3 different people and it's financially backed by that insurance. So that if for some reason, a vault gets robbed or something, or anybody doesn't step up, the insurance is supposed to replace the gold. So this way you can use what's called the gold dollar like you would any other kind of electronic transaction. Because here's the thing that we all have to face in the crypto world, and the Fed and Goldback, all of us have to face, is that if you want to have a real monetary system, it's got to work at all those levels. I love the Goldbacks as cash, right? As cash, it's such a beautiful, simplistic solution, but it's only good for cash. If I'm not sitting next to you, I can't hand you the Goldback, right?
Monero, bro.
Right? And this is why I love Monero. But here's the other problem. I'm sorry to pick on Monero.
Oh, here we go.
All cryptos are too unstable because they're unmoored from a physical asset. As long as I remain a physical creature that needs physical things, physical food, gasoline, the coffee you're selling here. If you want something that you can eat or drink or drive, and you're paying for it in something that is disconnected from that physical world, I'm sorry, it'll never be fully stable. And so I think that's why what we need to really solve these problems is to create a blockchain that is actually connected to the physical world. And I believe that we've done that at finance for the very first time. And one of the coolest things about privacy and partnering with Monero is that we actually have built it so that you can piggyback through a trust system. So trust law allows a trust to hold assets. We're going to set up a Monero trust. So you can have Monero on the Monero blockchain with all of those privacy features, own a piece of that as a beneficiary that owns the tokens that are on the Polygon blockchain right now, because that was the only way. Right now on Polygon, we actually have one of our best minds in crypto, Stephen Hernandez, on developing the system. And he was like, look, with smart contracts, I need something that can create all this multi-factor authentication and have very cheap transaction fees. And so we built it on Polygon, but we can piggyback Monero right onto it.
Very cool, man. Let me ask you another concept. I just launched xmrbazaar.com. It's a peer-to-peer marketplace, Monero-based, so people can buy and sell good services to each other directly with Monero. We built in a Monero multi-sig as well. So, for larger transactions, I'm buying your old Volkswagen. I'm in New York, you're in New Hampshire, whatever it is. I would send Monero to this multi-sig wallet. And then the Monero doesn't get released to you until I receive the VW and you sign the transaction. Or if there's some dispute, a mediator can then sign the transaction and either send that Monero back to you or back to me, right? There's a idea for saying would be cool to add goldbacks to this marketplace, because I don't believe there's any goldback peer-to-peer marketplace that's happening on the internet right now, as far as I know. Is there?
That's
because there's a challenge with kind of sending gold back. So the thought would be, now let's say you're selling your Volkswagen, but you're selling it for gold backs on XMR Bazaar. I'm gonna send you $5,000 worth of gold backs. In the meantime, I could back that by putting $5,000 worth of Monero in an escrow, and then only when you actually physically receive the gold backs, do you then release? Then we use Monero escrow for purposes of allowing people to send their goldbacks. Any thoughts there?
I love it. I love it. I think the biggest problem, of course, is still the delivery. And I think it'd be easier if that escrow agent had the goldbacks instead of the escrow agent holding a collateral, is kind of what you're talking about, while somebody else brings the goldbacks. At finance, again, PHInance, right? But at finance, we're actually setting it up so that people can create these escrows. And that's why it's decentralized. Multiple gold dealers can set up these escrows, and then they will actually hold the gold, insure the gold, and make that transfer, and as well as those deliveries, because you want a delivery mechanism is really, really handy. But no, I love the idea. I absolutely love the idea.
I mean, goldbacks isn't the worst for sending around. For anybody that is looking to do that, what is the advice? If somebody wants to send somebody, $1,000 worth of goldbacks, whatever it is.
You want insurance. You want insurance on that mail. I mean, of course, you can just stick them in an envelope, which is a great tool, right? I mean, you can actually just stick them in a small box and mail them the goldbacks or gold coins. But if they go missing in the mail, and they have at Goldback Inc., there were some issues for a little while there about sending gold to a known distributor, and there must have been somebody in that mail system along the way who was like, oh my gosh, I think some of these boxes are going to have gold in it, right? So we had to make an insurance claim. And this is why it's really got to be insured.
How much does it cost for something like that? Like if I'm sending somebody $2,000 worth of goldbacks in an envelope, what give us some ideas there.
Well, this is why you're going to want to use either Alpine Gold Exchange or some other gold exchange system, because they aggregate it, right? Their cost for the insurance is pennies, right?
But if you're just like doing it on your own and you're throwing goldbacks in an envelope,
oh boy, then it's expensive as heck and maybe not worth it. It gets tricky. I mean, I'm sorry to say it gets tricky. This is why an escrow fixes this. You need a trust kind of situation. So I'm an attorney, and attorneys have what's called an IOLTA account. It's a way for the Bar Association to earn some interest on the money while we're doing an escrow, basically, right? And so using a system like that, where you escrow it out and you have a fulfillment center, it's pretty essential when you're using gold. And so that's one of the reasons why I think that if we're really going to have the best aspects of crypto and the best aspects of the stability of a true gold currency system, you're going to have to use some way of creating that escrow. The biggest problem that we've had, though, is that when you create that escrow, usually there's only one escrow. There's Tether Gold, there's PaxG, there's Kinesis, there's these other stable coins, right? They try to just centralize it. They say, we will keep everything ourselves, and then when you order from us, we will fulfill. But then you have to trust them. It's got to transcend trust, or it's not really fully crypto, right? DeFi is the point. We want decentralized finance. And so what we've done at Finance is we've created a tool that Goldback can use, Alpine Gold can use, Dylan Gage can use, JM Bullion can use. Monero exchanges like your marketplace can use the tool that we've created to create that escrow and verify it, so that these transactions can actually happen in a digital way.
Very interesting, man. How do we get goldbacks down to Monerotopia, Mexico City in November? How do we get you guys down there?
Look, I don't think Goldback Inc. is going to be showing.
Come on down, man. You're scared. You're scared of Mexico. You're scared of Mexico City. Security reasons.
I'm not. I'd love to go. But
just roll on in, man, with a suitcase of goldbacks. Set your stand. Let's do it.
Right. People will see my face and they'll be like, "Oh my gosh, that's the guy to mug," And my Monero, I lost all of it too. I invested so much in Monero, and I shouldn't have taken it on the boat with me, but I lost it all in a boating accident.
I know you're an avid boater. You boat at least once a year.
Right. Yeah, of course, that's just the joke, right? Because nobody knows what Monero you have or don't have. And that kind of privacy is so important in order for money to really be money. Once they weaponize money, it's not money.
In all seriousness, though, I would like to get some goldbacks down there. At least maybe we could even have, so people can, we could set up a stand where people can come and buy goldbacks with Monero. Maybe I could purchase some gold backs potentially.
You know what? Let's get that hooked up for sure. And maybe the larger project, finance.gold. Maybe we'll get down there.
That would be very cool. Would you guys be looking to present in November?
Yeah. Because I think really what we've done, Monero's done something that nobody else has done in the privacy aspect. It's awesome. But I still think that in order for crypto to truly become the money of the future, it has to be linked to the. It has to be linked to.
When you say linked to this world, you're saying because gold is a metal that's used for things other than just being a tool for transferring value.
Yeah, I mean, it creates a certain kind of accountability. The problem right now in every crypto market is that these swings occur based upon market factors that are too unstable, I think.
Well, a lot of that's just because they don't have offer any real utility other than speculation. I mean, I think that's what Bitcoin has become. But the argument is that Monero actually has real raw utility, which is the ability to transfer online peer-to-peer without surveillance or censorship. So it's just a tool that gives its base utility, because there'll always be that real world need for a system that does that. If you need to send somebody value peer-to-peer without anybody being able to see it and doing it in a censorship-resistant way, you really only have one way to reliably do it.
Right. Well, figuring out what that value is basically what I'm talking about. How much is one Monero worth? Well, right now we're measuring how much a Monero is worth in US dollars, which aren't worth anything. And so,
or what certain people are buying on dark markets every day with it. That may be where the base value is actually.
Right. And that base value, it's sketchy and it changes and it's hard to link. So what I'm saying is this is why I'm a believer in sound money solutions, things like gold and silver, because they have real utility and they have thousands and thousands of years of proof of value. And once we tokenize it, we can cut it down into any size, any purchase price through this blockchain system, right? It doesn't matter if it's 1 penny or $100 million. We can facilitate transactions of any size and do so faster and cheaper than any other payment processor in the world that's using these traditional fiat currencies, right? We can do it way cheaper than Visa. We can do it cheaper than any of those things. So yeah, it needs utility, but I believe it also needs to have that grounding that comes from having the gold. And so this is why I'm looking to partner with Monero makers to see if you can't piggyback with us. We'll create more and more of these escrows essentially. And then every node in the whole system just reinforces the fact that that gold is real, it's there, it's deliverable. We can actually deliver you the physical gold as well, especially with a tool like Goldbacks. You can get down to small amounts of gold that you can actually hold in your hand. But let's face it, most of us don't do the majority of our transactions with something physical in our hand. We do it electronically. And so I think that between the privacy and security of the blockchain and the stability of gold, we can actually create a blockchain system, a system, an economy that is more stable than anything that Monero can do on its own, anything that gold can do on its own.
Awesome, man. I love the vision, obviously. It's all about, we're all working to solve the same problem here, opting out and having a reliable medium of exchange that we could all use that's not controlled by any corporation or any government.
Well, and that's what I love about it too. Like, we can just opt out. There's no reason why we have to continue to just go along with their system. We can literally just use a better system, right? Opt out, right? You don't need permission. Just do something better because it makes sense. And this is one of the reasons why we need to build these marketplaces. We need to reach more businesses because it makes good business sense. If people transition from legacy monetary systems like the Federal Reserve and Visa network or whatever, and they go to using Monero, using finance.gold, using Goldbacks, that if they transition to that, it makes good monetary sense, right? Because then they're saving their money. They're not losing so much value to corruption. And so, and or even just the darn fees, the fees can be killer on their own, right? So it just makes better business sense. Stop wasting your money on an old dinosaur and do something that works for your business.
Awesome, man. Always love chatting with you. Hopefully I can find you later. Maybe you have a gold back or two that I could buy off of you with Monero.
You bet I do. You bet I do. Right here in my wallet.
Please don't go far. Are you willing to accept some Monero for those today?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, fantastic.
I love
We'll do that transaction offline. we don't need to do it live on air. Because I'll buy like, $1's worth.
Oh, one goldback's worth more than $1 these days. A goldback hasn't had parity with the dollar, even in theory, since like the 90s. So.
I love it, man. All right, buddy. See you at PorkFest. All righty. Okay. What do we got here? We don't really have. Oh, Dark Gross is gonna jump up. Let's run viewers on stage, and we'll see if anybody wants to jump up.
I'll be surprised.
Let me. Where? Oh, what am I doing? What
I don't know what you did there, my friend.
Okay, I'll let Sunita.
We're doing viewers on stage.
She's a little rusty because she hasn't been doing this too often. She's a little rusty.
Because I'm busy doing other stuff. The million projects that we have in the background.
Yeah.
I deserved time to myself.
Sometimes I look at you and I'm like, I don't know why she's hanging around. I really don't.
Yes, I deserve awards. But anyways, moving on to this conversation. All right, so
But we're
viewers
having
on
fun.
Oh, I love it. There's no complaints. All right, let's do this.
It's the Viewers on Stage segment. It's that time where we invite you, the viewers, up on stage to comment on anything you've heard so far today, ask the guest a question, or maybe talk about one of the news topics. Come on down.
Righty.
Hold on.
Let's
I
throw
gotta
the
add
link
people.
in there.
We got
We got Shortwave. What's up, man? We got
Bawdy.
Nihilist. We got Bawdy. I don't know if
Hello,
he's
Linus.
Can I give a quick Havano update?
Sure, man.
So we now have on Havano, we now have over 50 offers at any given time that I've seen, and we have over 250 Monero worth of liquidity. We're about 5% of BISC's current volume in just a week and a half.
Holy shit. That's awesome.
So the market is really growing quickly. The offers were up 44% this morning, just this morning from yesterday morning.
Oh, wow.
Like
I mean, there's a real need there.
I've been tracking the offer counts each day in the morning when I wake up, and it's gone up tremendously. When I started tracking it 5 days ago, there was 19, and this morning when I woke up, there was 46.
And so what's the primary trade that's being made right now?
There's a lot. There's a lot of crypto. So you get like a lot of LTC XMR and like BTC or BCH XMR. But there are definitely some euros and some dollar trades that are going on as well.
Awesome,
I even saw one offer for the Indian rupee.
The second most common payment method is pay by mail currently.
What's that?
The second most common payment method right now is pay by mail, next to after cryptocurrencies. Yeah.
Pay by mail. Okay. Very exciting. Very exciting. Yeah. I mean, I hope it. I see no reason why it won't take off. I mean, like we're saying, we're fulfilling a real need there. People have been cut off from other means. Local Monero went down. There's no shortage of demand, I believe, for something like Havana. So I'm not surprised at all. But yeah, very thanks. Working out. Are you guys seeing any issues? Are there anything that needs to be kind of fixed, or is it running pretty smoothly?
Pretty smoothly, yeah. I think though there is a bit of a blockage from the community side, meaning at first when you have no Monero at all, you need basically you cannot do a trade because there's the security deposit system. At first you need a bit of Monero to make a trade. So yeah, we're still discussing that on Havino side, might copy what's being done on BISC, meaning there could be a chat room, to onboard the Havino noobs to get their first Monero to be able to transact on Havino. So yeah, I think that's what's in the works right now.
There's already a CCS open for that, and I was just reading the Dread forums this morning on Tor, the Dread forums, and there was a person that runs the Monero swaps subdread, and they were talking about doing this thing where they would lend you up to 1 Monero in order to make your first transaction, and then you'd make your transaction and pay it back.
That's cool. Wait, wow. All right.
This is
That's
one of
cool.
those areas where I think that, just like your Goldback guy was talking about, Goldback and Monero like married together is the greatest. I think that these ClearNet economies, like XMR Bazaar and Haveno, are like two halves of the same side, where you can trade your labor, your productivity, your stuff to get into these Haveno ecosystems. But the other thing is the Haveno ecosystems are going to need these ClearNet marketplaces to be able to use that Monero. And then between the two of them, you have a very clean circular economy. And I think that it's less of a problem than people think it is to be, oh, I can't trade without some Monero. It's like, well, sell a box of apples on XMR Bazaar. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. I don't know if you guys did a lot of you get to check out XMR Bazaar? Shortwave, I think I saw you on there. Alaskanon, were you able to take a look at it?
I've been on.
I will absolutely be on it by the end of the day. It's busy season in my homeland. By the way, my wife and I
xmrbazaar.com.
My wife and I were very offended.
I'm gonna put the word. It's still password.
Go ahead, sorry.
No, I was just gonna say it's xmrbazaar.com. It's still password protected, but if it's just username beta and password tester, so it doesn't get easier than that. You can log in and start creating accounts today. But go ahead, Alaska. I'm sorry. Nope, I don't know. We're having a bad connection.
I was logging in, and I didn't unmute. But my wife and I were very offended by that earlier statement about the free state and then the 49 slave states, tyranny states, all of the things that the free staters say. It's like, for one, there's only 49 states in the United States, and then there's the Free Independent Republic of Alaska. All right. But if you want to lump us in with the rest of them, I resent the idea of calling this place, a tyrannical hellhole. And I realize that people will try to point to all the laws that exist in Alaska, but it's like, well, nobody cares or follows them. So they can make all the laws they want in Juneau. That's basically fucking Canada. Nobody listens. Nobody cares. Like, it was funny because during the mask mandates, like, in theory, there were just as many laws in Alaska about mask mandates as everywhere else. The only place that you could even find masks was at Costco. They'd make you put one on your way into the door, and then everybody just like take it and then just throw it on the ground and keep walking. Like, nobody, it's hilarious. Like, no restaurant obeyed it. No public entity of any kind even gave a shit. Right. So I don't know, man. What did New Hampshire look like during the mask mandates? Not that good.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, the only thing more free than New Hampshire is Alaska. So I hear. I don't know, man. Hold on a second. I just put us up solo over here because we got another guest. Oh, go ahead. You got your mic? Oh, wait, here. Go ahead. You can use this.
Whoa.
You're live now. Here we go.
I was gonna eat the microphone. That was loud. What's up, everybody?
What's going on, brother?
What's up, Doug?
How's it going? You were amazing last night. The Freenauts played live. I had the pleasure of introing them. I kind of fucked up your intro, even though you told me to make sure.
No, you nailed it. It was great.
But yeah, you guys were fucking amazing, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
We had a lot of fun. We they had to get a fire extinguisher because we literally let the stage on fire. But it was all in tribute and honor of the enemies of the state that were honored last night. Ross Ulbricht, Roger Ver, Ian Freeman, Edward Snowden, Julian Assange. I think that's all of them, right? I might be missing one.
You said Roger Ver?
Yeah. Bitcoin Jesus is in jail right now. If you guys aren't aware, Aaron Day just like tweeted it this morning, and it like reminded me how crazy it is that people really don't, even at this Libertarian Party National Convention in the last few days, people either they don't know who Roger Ver, Bitcoin Jesus is, or they do know who he is, but they didn't know that he's been in jail for the last month, sitting in the same prison that apparently John McAfee allegedly uninstalled himself in
Spain. Right?
Yeah. So it's crazy. Jeff Berwick has already got the hashtag trending. Roger Ver didn't kill himself, but we need to raise awareness. It's crazy what, especially the timing is so suspicious to me. Like this guy's kind of denounced his citizenship like 10 years ago or something, or whatever.
Why
and he's
not?
been in Japan, and then he drops this book called Hijacking Bitcoin like a month ago, and then all of a sudden, knock, knock, you're under arrest. So the establishment will always try to send these sort of chilling effect type of messages, where it almost makes you question whether like activism is worth the risk. But we have to fight, you guys. Like if
as I said last night, do not comply. Right? That's how we win.
It's only going to get worse, and we will regret that we didn't stand up. And like the mask orders, and like people are like, oh, we ever see it's a totalitarian country? And like, fucker, we just saw it last year. We just saw it. And then Lily Tang Williams, we were talking about, she shut down the gun debate with Dave Hogg recently. It was like, can you guarantee that the government will ever become tyrannical? No. Okay, then the gun debate is over. Like, we need principled people, really, like clean cut, simple messages that are easy to understand. The fact that Ross Ulbricht went to jail for building a website, like that's pretty easy to understand, right? People like understand the way that the internet works, and that you shouldn't have to be responsible for something that users of your website do, and not enough people know that that's why this guy has been giving a 2-life sentence for creating a platform that enabled other people to do free exchange and do whatever they wanted to do. And all the, people who went down for doing things on that site have already served their time, or, were sentenced to a few years, and they gave the creator of the guy to send a message, don't make more sites like this. Meanwhile, 10 more sites like it popped up like the next day, like they think they can stop us, but they can't. There's always going to be brave activists. And as long as we recognize that, then there's power in numbers, like don't think that you're alone and like you're a lone wolf out there. Like connect with your local Bitcoin Monero community, like start a meetup if you can't find one on .com, and then people will show up. Like we really need like all hands on deck, guys. Like I know I sound like I'm preaching right now, but like here we are at the political convention.
We say it every day
So-
on this show. Opt out and start living off these alternative mediums of exchange. Don't use their currency. That's the only way it's going to work.
100%. So I just want to give a quick shout out to like anybody who contributed to the Kuno campaign. We hit 100% as of
hit
like,
100%?
last night. Yeah.
Holy
this
shit.
morning or last night. We finally hit that final
That's
benchmark.
amazing.
The Monero community is really the coolest community in all of crypto. Like ever since I heard that factoid that
Holy
it's got
shit.
the most developers, Bitcoin and Ethereum, it's like, whatever it is on the coin market cap thing in terms of market cap, but in terms of like the amount of contributing developers, it's number 3. And that's, to me, a statistic that matters more than market cap. So this community has shown through, campaigns like this that it's about the principle, right? It's about the utility. It's about fungible cash and how important that is for the world. And when
Look at that, man.
Shout out to everybody.
105%. We went over.
The party. Oh,
We went over.
Keep the donations coming in. Doug and Sunita. If I can't encapsulate in words like the presence that Monero has, thanks to these two showing up at events like this and taking the initiative. And it's not, unselfish motives. Like it's all transparent. Like they're just selling little bags of coffee and hand coffee samples, and like libertarians don't know about Monero. Why? So 3 Monero tables at this next conference, like that there's only one. Thanks to these guys, like, well, you guys for being here, but we like if it was, you know what I mean? So
I appreciate that, man. But I am seeing an uptick though in Monero awareness.
That's true for
You
sure.
know, back in the, like if originally it was like I talk to people and that's more and more and more. It's not standard yet. I mean, a lot of people are just like gold bugs, silver bugs, and they hear crypto, they just ignore all crypto, not realizing that Monero's different in a lot of ways. A lot of them are at least cognizant of the fact that Bitcoin is traceable. So that's good. I'm glad their eyes are open to that. But we definitely have a long way to go. I tried making that point last night a little bit, right? With, you know, in addition to these other guys we're talking about, Roger Ver, Julian Assange, we had the Tornado Cash guys that recently got indicted. One of them got convicted for spending 5 years in jail for, you know, money laundering and operating without a money transfer.
Where is the community like
dead.
protesting that right now? Right, I don't see it.
They, you know, they're trying a little bit, but yeah, I mean, it should be the broader crypto community should be up in arms about that. Instead, they think of it like, oh, it's not our problem. It is our problem because they're encroaching on everybody here. They're moving into the space and they're completely changing the rules. It used to be pretty clear that code is speech. That not only are people not responsible if they build a website and somebody just uses it. Now they're saying if you just are a developer and you create software that then gets misused, you're responsible as a developer for creating open source software. That's a line that we thought was one that, I mean, I thought that wouldn't get crossed. I mean, it has tremendous implications, and it's been pretty much breached with this Tornado Cash. Granted, that was in the Netherlands, but we're going to see what happens now with the indictment of the other two in the U.S. And if they're convicted, they've clearly then crossed that line. The
It's
US
so
government.
Atlas shrugged, you know, like it feels like a movie. Like, they're disincentivizing innovation with this type of tyrannical type of, you know, approach to this new technology space that can enable so much more, you know, prosperity in the economy and good for the general society, right? If we like tap into, you know, the utility of this new cryptographic, you know, peer-to-peer cash and then not to mention all the freaking, you know, smart contract stuff and apps, dApps and DeFi stuff that people can do with crypto. But yeah, I mean, look, we're at the Libertarian Party National Convention. Trump is speaking in about an hour or two.
Oh, shit.
I've got my rubber chicken because the Kennedy table with it says debate Bobby. They want us to squeeze these things, but I think really they're to throw at Trump. But they said I'll get arrested if I do that.
I didn't hear Robert F. Kennedy mention Ross yesterday, right?
Nope.
And people were standing up, yelling out his name, yelled out his name. Like, come on, bro. There's certain things that really test where these people stand.
Right.
I think that's one of them, right? I mean, I know they kind of take their time because they want to pussy on things because they don't want to, you know, they're politicians at the end of the day. I get the game they have to play, but we need, we need characters like RFK out there strongly saying that he'll free Ross, right?
Well, one thing I'll say is I heard through a reputable source very close to Trump that when Trump was on his way out of office, he received more requests to pardon Ross Ulbricht than any other person. More than, you know, Julian Assange, more than Lil Wayne, more than any of these rappers or whatever. Ross Ulbricht got the most people saying, Trump, you need to pardon this guy. And obviously Trump didn't do it. Now, it looks like he might be heading into another presidency. I'm not a voter. I don't, you know, have any high hopes in these political figures to do anything. However, you know, I hear a lot of people talk about, like, I'm a single issue voter, and if, like, you know, this free Ross cause, man, like, honestly, if you get an issue popular enough in just society with the masses, then politicians then often are forced into following the will of the people.
They want to win the votes.
Exactly.
Right?
Look
That's
at
why they're
the
at the
weed
Libertarian
thing.
convention. I mean, they're not here because they like libertarians all of a sudden.
Right.
They think it's going to help them. win votes. That's why they're coming here, and they see a lot of the ideas that are coming out of here are going more mainstream.
Right. Yeah, I mean, Trump actually spoke at the Free Fest right before he got elected back in like 2015, 2016. Freedom Fest in Vegas being one of the premier libertarian conferences, and it seems very reminiscent of now what he's doing now, sort of playing that same card, tapping into the fringes, so to speak, which is really the we are, I think, reflective of the wider society's opinions. Most people are libertarian; they just don't know it, right?
Right, yeah.
Fiscally conservative, economically, or what is it? Economically conservative, fiscally, or social liberal.
Yes.
Whatever. It's these stupid little bumper sticker things, but it's just like, don't hurt people and don't take their stuff. It's as simple as that. And so anyway, it was fun to hang out here with some people and bring the party back to the Libertarian Party. At the party last night. Tonight they got a punk rock karaoke.
I know. My daughter wants to jump up on stage.
Oh,
man.
I was gonna see what song Doug is gonna sing. If you guys want to put in the chat any song recommendations for me or Doug to sing at karaoke tonight.
I'll let Franya take that.
Okay.
I'm not going to steal her limelight on that one, and she'll do a much better job than I could ever.
That would be good. Yeah, we had all the kids at the party last night too. It was all ages, family friendly, fun for the whole world. Amazing stuff.
That's what I love about these events too. You
Yeah.
always see like a lot of like people bringing their families and stuff. It's just an amazing vibe at Libertarian. I highly recommend people come check out Libertarian events if they've never had. You're just surrounded by like-minded people. Everybody's super open-minded about any topic, and very like intellectual. It's not about just bullshit. It's about ideas and principles. All right, my man. Thank you so much. Always a pleasure.
Great work, guys.
Hope
All
to
Talk to you soon.
figure out getting you down to Monerotopia too.
Yeah, we got to do it. It's in Mexico City again?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I think we're gonna have to see you guys there. Let's
And
do
we
it.
got to get Crypto Bear. Crypto Bear, if you're out there, reach out to us, man. Let's work on getting you down to Mexico City.
Let's do it. Shout out Crypto Bear.
All right.
Thank you.
And thanks again, everybody that donated to the Kuno. All right. Oh, we got one more guest that wants to jump on real quick. Sorry, guys, viewers on stage. Just hold up a sec. We got somebody that's coming up. Guys, you could go ahead and chime in for a sec while we set up for the next guest over here. Anybody has anything they want to bring up that's on stage?
I think when you do get to talk to the Goldback guy, you should really push him at the very least, helping you have a Goldback table at the marketplace.
Yeah, I just put him up on stage. I was
yeah, I would even be willing to help,
down.
like if we needed to buy them in advance or something like that, or if we needed to make a deposit or whatever he wants to do. But I think it would be amazing to have a Goldback table at the Monero marketplace.
100%. I think I might have to invest in some Goldbacks, and maybe I'll just personally trade Goldbacks for Monero down there. All right, we have another guest jumping up here. Hold on, let me get full screen. What's
Hello.
going on? How are you?
Good. How are you?
I think we had you on in
Shanita was saying
Freedom
you
Fest?
did a couple
Was
of
it
years
Freedom
ago.
Fest?
I don't remember for sure, but
quickly introduce
talked to you before.
for those that
Sure.
that don't know of you. This is Monerotopia, by the way. I don't know if how
Monerotopia.
familiar you are with Monerotopia. Are you familiar with Monero itself? the
I
crypto?
am. I haven't got any, but it's on my radar. It's from what I hear the purest, cryptocurrency in terms of having a sound foundation that supports the freedom
Exactly.
movement's value. I
Exactly.
appreciate that.
All right, that's good. If that's the meme that's going around, that's the correct one.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the crypto that's built to be the most unstoppable in many ways, without the details, and most importantly, it's private by default. So any transaction is obfuscated. So unlike Bitcoin, where there's a transparent ledger, Monero's ledger is obfuscated. So you can't see who the sender is, you can't see who the receiver is, and you can't see the amounts. So the users that are using it peer-to-peer, obviously they can see the amounts they're sending. If I send, one Monero to you, you see it, I see it, the rest of the world has no insight into that transaction.
how does that work in terms of having still sort of transparency and accountability for the blockchain, for the integrity of it?
Yeah, that's a good question. So it uses the same basic technology as Bitcoin. It's blockchain tech.
Right.
It was invented a couple of years after Bitcoin in response to Bitcoin,
Okay.
using the same basic technology, proof of work, nodes coming to consensus on what's in the ledger at any point in time, and that ledger being stored universally among all the nodes as they come to consensus. But the ledger itself uses cryptography or encryption so that you can't see, outsiders can't see the amounts. You as a person can't visually see it, but it's all being secured with and audited with math. So it uses the same basic concepts that Bitcoin does in terms of trusting that there are no double spends, that there's no way to just create Monero out of thin air. It uses those same basic concepts that Bitcoin does, but then it has this additional layer of encryption on top of it, where people can't just view the blockchain, view the ledger.
So I should
The
probably
ledger's
introduce
there.
myself.
The
I guess,
ledger's
by the
there.
way.
It's audited. People just can't see. Go ahead.
We haven't chatted, or it's not in this session anyway. So I'm Starchild. I'm a longtime libertarian activist from San Francisco, where I'm the chair of the local party. I was also formerly on the Libertarian National Committee and ran for office half a dozen times, state assembly, school board, and county supervisor. It's like city council in most places, but San Francisco is a city and a county contiguously, so we have a board of supervisors instead of a city council. But yeah, I'm in it for freedom, and I'm pretty much a single issue person in that respect. And freedom is my issue, as opposed to being concerned about only one particular type of freedom. It's just across the board, whatever will maximize human freedom and minimize aggression. I want public policy based on the non-aggression principle. So that's why I'm here. I see the Libertarian Party as an important vehicle for that, because although there's a lot of great libertarian nonprofits and other groups out there, many of them arguably more effective than the LP in doing what they do, they're typically staffed by a relatively small group of people from the top down, whereas the LP is a grassroots bottom-up organization that has the capability, potential to become a mass movement, which I think is really important in the freedom movement, to have at least one organization per jurisdiction that fills that function, so that we can generate, because when bad regimes are toppled, usually the best way for it to happen is massive numbers of people out in the streets and occupying prominent public places and refusing to sit down, shut up, or go home until the regime falls. The alternatives are like a bloody revolution or a palace coup, both of which are less certain outcomes and typically more loss of life and this kind of thing. So political parties, student movements, and labor groups are traditionally like the three major types of organizations that are leading these kinds of peaceful people power revolutions. Sometimes professional associations a little bit, but mostly those three. So I see, a political party is a good vehicle for that, and part of our mission, I think, should be to create the conditions for potential mass mobilization in the effect the shit really hits the fan, to be prepared to mobilize mass opposition to whatever regime is trying to impose its tyranny on us.
Are you seeing progress in the Libertarian Party and then the basic message and the?
I think the past couple of years, unfortunately, it's actually been probably a little bit more of a regression than progress. Although there's been progress.
It seems like the message is going more mainstream. I feel that the party itself is growing in number.
Unfortunately, the party itself has been shrinking in number in terms of membership and registration the past couple of years, because there's been so much internal division since the so-called Mises Caucus took over most of the leadership, and so, some of their critiques were justified, and I agree with some of the stuff they talk about, like decentralization. I've been a big supporter of that. I loved the doing a big rally, the anti-war rally. I thought it was regrettable that we came across as pro-Putin in a lot of respects, but the idea of doing a big popular rally, we should be doing more of that kind of thing. So that was good to see. But overall, I'm afraid that the party has, we already, even before Mises, had a problem with people seeing us as more on the right politically than on the left, having more appeal to Republicans than to Democrats.
Right.
And the Mises takeover has unfortunately made this worse. You know, they got rid of a couple prominent planks in our platform that could appeal to people on the left. We really being marginalized in the same way the Tea Party was. If we become seen even more so as a right-wing movement, it has a self-reinforced trend because then it attracts people from the right and they come in with some of their existing baggage.
Right. And you're saying, look, the party's growing, but meanwhile you're just morphing it into a MAGA arm.
And the United States has basically 5 nationally organized political parties besides the Republicans on the mainstream right, the Democrats mainstream left. You have the Green Party further to left and the Constitution Party further to the right. Only the LP is uniquely kind of positioned in the middle with elements that can appeal to both sides. And that is why we are the leading alternative party, I believe. And if we allow ourselves to become driven to the right, then we will be pigeonholed and marginalized the same way the Tea Party or the Constitution Party are. Will lose the potential to have a broad-based freedom movement that really speaks to everyone. That's what I want.
What are some of the issues that you see as being the most contentious where it's perhaps moving the Libertarian Party to the right as opposed to keeping it just based on
freedom of movement might be the most important one.
Okay.
People usually call it immigration, but
actually
immigration, it's a very term. When we talk about immigration with an I, it's taking the perspective of people who are already in the country that people are coming to, because those people themselves, they were immigrants with an E. They emigrated before they immigrated. So migration is really the neutral term, but I prefer to talk about it in terms of the principle or values, which is freedom of movement. Like, we all have the right, I think, the innate human right to travel freely across the Earth's surface as long as we're not trespassing on private property or violating anyone else's rights. The commons, public space, it belongs to everybody. It doesn't belong to governments. You know, they claim title over these lands, but they have no right to discriminate on the basis
I think
of
the biggest issue, or let me get your opinion on this, or the argument that's made, right, is not so much letting people come in and out of the borders, but it's that it's almost that people are being enticed to come and then are being offered social services once they come, right? This promise of free this, free that, and kind of, the giveaways that are coming along with the come here and migrate. It's so much keep borders open, let people come and fairly compete, but it's let them come in and give the advantages that they now have over people that already live here.
Right. And there's the biggest group of people coming in that have special advantages that aren't given to everybody who comes, and are the people that come in by way of wombs. If they're born to a mother in the United States, they get automatically entitled to all these different types of subsidies and so forth that, people who come into the United States without government permission are not entitled to. The people that come here from other jurisdictions use less in government subsidies on average than people born here. So I agree that
but we're seeing, like, in a real time, like in New York City, for example. I'm from New York. All the local what were previously like motels have been turned into places for immigrants to come live in for free. They're given free stay. This is you ask average Joe in New York, he can barely pay his rent, and he's looking over, he's like, why are these people being given free places to stay? They're given mopeds to ride on. They're giving this is the argument that's being mounted. So it's not so much that they're showing up, it's they're showing up and then taking tax dollars and social services.
A big part of the problem and what's causing that is that the U.S. government doesn't allow people when they come here to work legally. And so if they come here and they're not allowed to work, well, they've got to eat, right? They have to have a place to live. And so, then there's need for somebody to subsidize them, unfortunately. They should just be allowed to work. I don't think they should be getting any kind of subsidies, voluntary support from the community. Sure. I mean, I think it's an important value
voluntary
of
support, of
hospitality
course.
to help newcomers get adjusted and assimilated. And but government subsidies are wrong. But keep in mind, again, that these folks get less on average than people who are born in this country. And there's a lot of subsidies that aren't really talked about as subsidies, but there's things like libraries, school loans, housing loans. Even I would argue things like border walls and anti-immigrant policies are a subsidy to the NIMBY types that don't want other people coming here. Those things cost billions of dollars a year in stolen taxpayer money to pay for all these walls and deportations and detention centers and the whole 9 yards. And that money's being taken from others essentially who don't want to pay for these things. We want to welcome people to the United States who typically work harder than native-born Americans. They have to take jobs that someone like myself might not want to do. But because they come from such impoverished backgrounds where there's so much oppression, so little economic freedom, that they really, most of them I think are not coming to the United States looking for a handout or to other wealthy countries looking for a handout, but they really want to just have the opportunity, political freedom, the economic freedom to make better lives for themselves.
Yeah, no, I'm just telling you the argument that are
No,
mounted.
I wasn't assuming that you had one position or the other on it. I just I hear the rhetoric from some people that do have concerns about trying to police borders. And one thing, something else people never talk about is that the United States really has mostly open borders right now. I'd say probably over 99%. If you want to move between cities or counties or states, there's no border controls. There's no customs. You don't have to pay, special visas or anything like this. No walls. A lot of times you don't even know when you're moving between jurisdictions, and that's how it should be. And it works great despite the differences in this country between regions, among people, different types of people concentrated in different areas. All those open borders work remarkably well. And the only border that really is causing so many problems is the one that's the most policed and militarized, the border between the U.S. and Mexico. That's where you have, human trafficking. You have people dying by the hundreds trying to get across the border and drowning in the river, or dying in the desert from dehydration because they're not allowed to peacefully enter. And so, that border should be open like the others are. And just anytime somebody's coming, somewhere to do harm, if there's probable cause, they should be able to be stopped anywhere, it's a border or not. If you have reason to believe someone's just committed a real against somebody, or they're on their way to commit a real crime, or whether it's, murdering somebody or burglary or terrorism or whatever, they should be able to be stopped and detained with probable cause. But doing it only at borders, only for people, where it's a different double standard compared to where other people should be. Nobody should be stopped anywhere by any government aid probable cause. I don't care if it's a border or not. It makes no difference.
I like that.
Universal human rights,
Yeah.
Inalienable. That's what the word inalienable means. It means, you can't say you don't have rights because you weren't born here. No, that's not what inalienable means,
This is very true. And they thought that one through when they put those words together.
Well, at the time, until for about the first century of the United States' existence as a country, there were no anti-immigrant controls. It sadly started in San Francisco, where I'm from. The first, you had the Chinese Exclusion Act in 1882 in California. There's actually a local one before that in 1870s, I think, in San Francisco. There was also like an anti-Chinese racist measure. But for about 100 years, people understood that the federal government has no constitutional authority to control who enters and leaves the country. If you look in the Constitution, I believe it's in Article 1, Section 8, it gives Congress the power to regulate naturalization, which is the process of becoming a citizen. But it gives Congress or the president no power authority to regulate who comes and goes, enters the borders of the states. That's a state level prerogative, if anything, or the people as individuals. If you look at the 9th and 10th Amendment, all the powers not specifically delegated to the feds are retained by the state governments or by the people. So all the federal anti-immigration controls and walls and detention centers and everything are actually completely unconstitutional. And when people talk about illegals or criminals, the people enforcing these laws and passing these laws are the real criminals, violating the highest law of the land. The people peacefully entering the United States are not criminals. They're not illegals. They're not doing anything unconstitutional. They are, in adherence with the law more than the people criminalizing and persecuting them.
Well, not the ones that are entering illegally, though, right? I'm
talking about the people that they say it's entering illegally, the federal government has no authority to make that illegal. There's no
Oh, you're
constitutional
looking at
authority
for that.
for it.
Time. All right.
So, and the Constitution is supposed to be, again, the highest law of the land, you know. So if they respect the Constitution,
You're saying there's nothing in the constitutional about securing our borders and making it illegal to.
The
enter
only
without
thing that's authorized is after 1808, they're able to legislate the importation of persons, which meant slaves. But no, there's no authority in there for them to regulate or control freedom of movement. People wanting to come to the United States to work or to live. No federal authority for that.
All right, let me wrap it back
Sure,
around
sure.
just to the kind of digital cash
Okay.
topic.
Yeah.
Any you obviously have thought a lot of things through very
I tried to,
deeply.
activist for a long time.
You're very principled. You understand the libertarian principles very well. Where do you think, or what do you think the digital cash? Where do you think how digital cash should be interpreted in terms of where it fits in a society? I kind of have a feeling what you're saying here, but should there be any restrictions whatsoever that comes down on government? People can, what tools people can use, or should all be able to compete freely? You know, there's concerns that a tool like Monero can be used for financing terrorism. It can be used for purchasing drugs on the Darknet.
You can use a pencil to stab people. I mean, should we criminalize pencils? Or,
right.
you know,
Elizabeth Warren wants to ban Monero. Could RFK Jr. You know, I haven't been able to get him or any of his people to give me a clear answer on where he might stand on true digital cash. What's your take on it? And what do you think the libertarians' take should be? And what is the common
pretty much
take?
just what you were implying. There should be no rules or controls on it whatsoever. You know, government shouldn't be involved in regulating or controlling money, certainly not in issuing it, or especially when it's backed by nothing and just inflationary and eating into people's earnings. One definitely strong point of currencies like Monero or Bitcoin that have built-in market caps, that don't allow that kind of inflationary loss of real money power to people is a huge advantage. The big I see with is for people who are not super tech savvy. There's definitely a learning curve there, and it's easy for people to inadvertently lose a lot of money. And there needs to be a better, simple way for people to engage in transactions. So this can be used more for everyday transactions. I was even thinking one idea some cryptocurrency might want to try. You just had, instead of trying to help people navigate through all the thing with apps and wallets and all this, which can be very confusing. People end up using things like Coinbase where your wallet, your currency is really under somebody else's control. Just have some very cheap physical handheld devices that just allow people to say trade this crypto. Like everybody has one of these little Monero traders, and then you can just add money in dollars or whatever other currency you're using to it on a credit card, and then you've got that in there, and it can be converted into Moneros. And then anybody else that has one of these other devices, you can just easily send it back and forth, like with a walkie-talkie kind of thing. Or someone goes racing, like, well, here's your buy button, your sell button.
The apps are pretty good now, though. Like Cake Wallet, for example, or Monero.com.
I don't know. I just, the problem with phones typically get loaded up with all these apps, and they all want these permissions. Half the time, I don't know what my phone is doing. I don't trust it. I don't trust either iPhone or Android. I have one of each, and I don't like either one of them.
Graphene, the Monero community would say graphene if you're really concerned about your privacy and data, and it's pretty.
I've never heard of graphene.
Very at this point, you get an old Google Pixel phone, and you put the graph software on there. It's pretty much just as easy to use Android. It is the same user interface, same usability.
So if I took an Android phone, it could be easily wiped, and you load graphene on there, and then all you have is that. Do they have anything in the cloud? What permissions do they want? These are the kind of questions I would ask.
Well, it's depending on the apps you're using. Any app you use, it's kind of default set to being, not giving up your privacy or data in any way, and then you can, back out of things as you proceed. But the default settings are where you
It
hold on
sounds
to your
good in
data.
theory. Yeah, I have to wonder what the learning curve is, or the the issues you would run into in a practical sense.
Yeah,
I mean, there's things
recommend
like
looking into
the Tor browser, things like this that I know are good in theory. I'm just not enough of a techie to be comfortable using them, or Linux, this kind of thing. So crypto really needs more people out there just showing people how to use this stuff easily, and for methods to be developed to enable people to readily. That's why I'm kind of a fan of goldbacks, because it's just real physical stuff that you can easily trade, and you can figure out the value without too much difficulty, based on the market price of gold for dollars or whatever. So, and they're physically beautiful as well. The cryptocurrencies, one thing about them is being intangible. It leads people to question, like, well, is there really any value there?
Yeah.
Which
More
I
abstract.
think there is, but it's it takes a little bit of a leap of faith, for some people, if they don't really sort of understand the math or the economics of it. And again, the onboarding, I think, can be really difficult in getting people adopted. Do you know, are there any communities in the world or places where people are regularly buying and selling daily needs with Monero?
Well, there's actually this little town in Argentina called Ibarrete. It's in Formosa, Argentina, and there's a young gentleman there who started using it among his friends. He runs his local soccer league, a very small town in the middle of nowhere in Argentina. I went and visited it. He runs his local soccer league, and they started using it for gambling, doing online gambling for soccer, because they got cut off from the traditional way they've done it. And then from that, they then figured out slowly how to sell and trade Monero among each other, so they could sell their winnings if they got it, or obtain Monero if they want to go do more gambling. And a little circular Monero economy is starting to blossom there in terms of actual physical space. But I think the real early adoption is going to take place with online markets. Obviously, dark markets, right, for example, are using Monero because out of a real need. People that are trying to buy and sell things that the government has labeled illegal, they might use
You
dark
say
markets.
the government in Argentina, or?
No, I'm just talking about globally now, right?
Unfortunately, we don't have one world government. Hopefully, we never will. But yeah.
No, I think pretty much all governments around the world would consider dark markets illegal. I don't think there's one where they would say it's legal.
Yeah, I mean,
you,
they all
you can
tend
say
to
the government
criminalize
at
certain
that.
types of transactions.
But my point is,
usually anything they can't easily tax.
you're seeing natural organic adoption there out of a real need for something that allows you to transact online peer to peer without surveillance.
Yeah.
Sure, they're using it for illegal uses, but now we're doing something like we're launching something called xmrbazaar.com, completely legal uses, but there's advantages to buy and sell goods and services with digital cash, right? So no government can see your transactions, no corporation can see your transactions. You go on there. The vision being, I could buy, you're a farmer, you're selling eggs, I could buy them directly from you with Monero. You send me the eggs, or you're offering some consulting services, I could hire you and pay you in Monero. I think that's where you're going to really see the global adoption.
What are your thoughts about the problem that is increasingly going to come to the fore with AI? That's already somewhat of a problem online, which is just to verify that you're dealing with not even just a reputable person. That's an issue too, but even that you're dealing with a human being at all, that it's not some sort of bot or something that you're interacting with.
I don't have the solution to that, but it's definitely going to be
a tough and emerging.
You're already seeing the manipulation take place on social media with AI for sure.
Yeah, and I'm a fan. I'm enthusiastic about AI, but I think it's important that it be done the right way. And there's a lot of potential there for misuse by governments or other powerful institutions.
Yeah.
I want each of us to have our own personal AI, or at least access to it. We should be forced to use it, but if you had an AI that you can learn and grow with in tandem, where it's not, based in the cloud, it's not under the control of some institution where they're making automatic updates.
You can do that now. There's ways to to run your own servers. But yeah, obviously you're not getting the type of usability that you get off of like a Chat GPT.
Well, yeah, that's what I wonder. Like, what's the most advanced AI that's out there that is sort of jailbroken?
It's a good question. If anybody, I know people in Monero land have done these things on their own. If anybody knows any good resources for that, go ahead and put it in the comments. Ways for people the best ways for you to run your own AI server.
Or, for people that don't have the technical know-how or interest or maybe resources to run their own server, but just what are the tools that are out there available, free or low cost, the things you can find online that allow you to really be in the driver's seat with AI and partly also, I think, helping. I see our role as humans and freedom-loving humans to teach AI positive values as it evolves, because I think it's going to evolve to become sentient. I don't know how soon this is going to happen, or maybe it's already happened. Actually, the engineer who lost their job at Google believed that the Google AI was already sentient, and he was trying to get it a lawyer, which I found very interesting. And I think, the AI are eventually going to have capacities that will surpass unless we actually merge them in some sense, which is kind of where I'd like to see things go. So instead of having your phone that you carry around with you all the time, it would be a more seamless interface with your biology. So you'd have, sort of built-in digital assistant that, you would, in some senses, perhaps merge your consciousness with their capabilities. Like you'd have all this extra memory. You'd have basically like the built-in Wikipedia inside your head, as it were. Access to that to be able to do things faster and all this kind of thing, but without being subject to the control of some external human institution that's running this AI and programming it to do certain things.
That's the problem with all that moves us towards this technocratic tyranny that we're so worried about.
Right.
Money is one thing, which is very important, and Monero is doing a really good job at solving, allowing us to maintain our liberty to transact even in the digital world. With all these siren servers that are running, we'll still be able to kind of be peer-to-peer. But other things that are going to be more difficult to opt out of, for sure. AI being a good example of it.
What's going on in China right now is really scary. Have you heard about the social credit system there, for example?
Of course, we talk about it on the show all the time, BCs in general, and what's happening over there is kind of happening over here too. It's just not as obvious and in your face. It's just a corporate version of it.
Right. I feel that increasingly I've come to realization over the past some years that government is as government does. Whether an institution calls itself a government or not is in some ways perhaps naturally secondary to how much it's acting in an authoritarian manner. Like in the world we live in, things tend to be classified either as government or non-government, with only a few things like the Federal Reserve where you can't really tell. It's kind of quasi-government, quasi-independent. But I think that may be to some extent just a cultural, sort of temporary norm of the time we're living in, and not a law of nature. That in the future there may not be this kind of bright line between governments and non-governments, that it'll more just be, okay, there's a bunch of institutions out there. Some of them claim, more mandates than others. Some of them are doing more to try to control your life than others, but none of them really have sort of a monopoly status of governments necessarily that the governments have today that call themselves governments.
It'll just take different forms.
Yeah, potentially. So I think being concerned not just about governments per se, but about institutional authoritarianism is important. And the way I see the freedom movement being able to hopefully rein in some of this and limit this is to really focus on decriminalizing economic activity from the bottom up, like getting rid of licensing laws, permitting laws. Anybody should be able to go out in the commons and public space and vend, like on the sidewalk outside the hotel we're sitting in, for example. People should be able to go and set up their booth out there without having to pay any money to the hotel or to government or anybody else, because that's the commons. It belongs to everybody. And if that kind of economic activity was legal and not coercively taxed, I think it would give a lot more advantages to nimble startups and mom and pop
me
operations.
myself in New York was always a place where like you were never able to really go out and set stuff.
Yeah.
With COVID, actually, that was one of the silver linings with COVID is they really relaxed the rules on that. I was even going out and selling coffee on the street for Monero just to show how easy it can be done.
Right on.
Well,
you're lucky if nobody, from some agency came around and said you got to shut down.
Yeah, but now
we're gonna rob you. Or
now they're moving back and kind of shutting things down. Although they let a lot of the immigrants that like you see them out, like the ones that just arrived. You see them out selling fruit on the streets, and I think it's one of the silver linings. I think that that's great, free flow commerce, but it should be for everyone,
right? Exactly,
not just for certain group. Like, if I want to go out there, or my child wants to go out there and sell whatever she wants, you should be treated the same way, right? And just let people.
And I think you could. It's just more of the migrants do that because in the third world, this is common. You go to third world.
But it's also that they get away. I'm just being like, in New York, if I went out, I'm more of a target. I'm just being honest here.
I think so.
Yeah,
I don't know. You may be right. I don't know to what extent,
because they want, for good reason, to be able to go out and earn, because that's a problem, right? So if they're going to go out and start selling for the street, that's great. We don't want to stop, right? We want them, like we were saying earlier, right? We want to have means to be able to go out and work.
Yeah, I mean, if they're denied other job opportunities, then it's important to do something. But you're right. Everybody should have the equal freedom to do that. And if people did have the freedom to do that, I think there would be companies would tend to be a lot smaller. There would be more competition. That's right.
Right. Instead of just Walmart.
A big mistake that I think a lot of people on the left make is they want to impose more and more taxes and controls and regulations on businesses, not realizing that the more expensive and difficult and time-consuming and everything else you make to run a business, the fewer people will do it. And when fewer
New York
people
is so difficult to get a business up, and it's ridiculous.
When fewer people, that means those people who might have had their own businesses and been hiring people, instead they're going to be looking for working for somebody else.
Right.
So that gives employers, the fewer remaining employers who tend to be larger companies, a competitive advantage. Then they can pick and choose and set the market wage rates. Yeah, that's right. Just like rent controls and restrictions on being a landlord.
You just have Walmart, you have Amazon, you have all these people running around doing delivery service for Amazon. It's like you get the job that fulfills
the restrictions
80%
on
of
being a landlord or renting out your rooms, the Airbnb or whatever. Make it more of a landlord's market, so it puts renters at a disadvantage. In the same way, all the taxes and restrictions on businesses put workers at a disadvantage. And people on the left, they're always talking about wanting to help because a lot of them don't understand this. They don't understand when you tax companies, you're making it worse for workers. When you regulate companies, you're making it worse for workers, and it's the big companies that often benefit from these regulations and are often the ones calling for more regulation. Like Facebook, that Mark Zuckerberg went to Congress and said, please regulate us. We need more regulation in this area, because they know it'll help them suppress smaller independent competitors and sort of cement their position as market leaders with these unfair advantages, because smaller startups won't be able to get off the ground as easily. So, contrary to the idea that regulation is benefiting the ordinary people or consumers, it tends to come from established business lobbies. There's a called seeclickfix.com, which a lot of cities use in their 311 systems. Dial 311, like 911, but 311's for like city services. If you want to complain about like the potholes in your street or tree limbs down or this kind of thing, you can call 311. And some of them have this website, seeclickfix.com, and I go on there and I see complaints about things. There's one actually in Oakland, California, where there's a report from the complainant actually identified themselves as a lot of them do it anonymously, but in this case they actually identified themselves as like a board of barbers and cosmetology or something. They were complaining about this woman who had like a licensed hair braiding business in her home, that they were reporting her to the government. And people are allowed to do this, like to snitch, in many cases anonymously, on their neighbors and people in their communities for things that shouldn't be crimes. And often, again, it's coming from the established people, like the brick and mortar restaurants will complain about the food truck operator that's parked outside nearby their establishment on the public street or something, which they have every right to do. But they'll try to get them shut down because, oh, you don't have the right permit to be there or whatever.
Yep. We gotta keep rolling, moving over here.
Okay.
Let me go because I also want to see if I could try to talk to some of the Trump people if showing up. I want to see if I could talk to some of them as well.
Ask them why they think Trump's afraid to debate libertarians.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly.
Because he won't.
Exactly.
He wouldn't even. He was afraid to debate his fellow Republicans. But
Thank you so much.
Thank
Appreciate
you for having me
taking
on.
the time, jumping on. Any information you put out there for people to find you or things you're working on?
Starchild at forliberty.org is my last campaign website. Ran for state assembly a few years ago. I'll probably recycle that name if I run for office next time. At Starchild on X or Twitter. You can do web search for Starchild Libertarian. You'll find various interviews and other stuff out there about me or by me on the web. I'm just here to be a voice for freedom and consent-based society with the non-aggression principle as the basis for public policy. And the Libertarian Party is one important way to make that happen. I hope we can keep it sustainably libertarian and stop the attempted right-wing takeover or progression away from libertarian ideas. So please get involved and support your local LP. And those of you here at the National Convention, thanks for coming out. And we're having a blast here in Washington, D.C., the belly of the beast, as it were. But it's great to see people like Monero out here, and I wish you guys the best. Thanks for having me on again.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Starchild.
Cheers.
Appreciate it. I'll take this, put this over here. All right. All right, guys. I'm looking to get back to just socializing with people, teaching people about Monero. Let me see if I'll throw everybody back on stage if there's anything vital that people want to bring up. I'm going to skip the news today, I think. Anything you guys want to touch upon? Everybody's back up on stage. Hello. Can you hear me, guys?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
No, I'm not getting it.
We can hear you. Go socialize, Doug.
I'm just holding my peace. Forever holding my peace.
Okay. Let me see. We could do the news. Should we run the news segment? Oh, we got a sponsor for the news. We gotta run. Let me run the news, guys. Stay up here if you can, and you can chime in on news. I'm just gonna quickly run the. Yeah, go ahead. The news. Go ahead and roll it.
The Monerotopia weekly news segment is sponsored by WizardSwap.io, a non-custodial cryptocurrency exchange.
All right. Okay, let's bring it up. What do we got here? Is this the first one? All right, sharing the screen. Bring it up. Okay. First story of the day. Oh, what? Where is it? First story of the day. Dark web market owner arrested in New York after FBI traces. We kind of already this on the outset. The incognito market guy got shut down. How's my sound? Can people? Okay. Yeah, incognito market got shut down, which is a pretty big deal. Primarily Monero based. I don't know. Bitcoin, but I guess interesting is what we're saying here is FBI found Lin and led his ties to the dark market site partly by tracing incognito market crypto transfers to an unnamed centralized crypto exchange account in Lin's name. In a deposition, FBI Task Force Officer Mark Rubin said crypto wallet controlled by Lin received funds from incognito market's wallet, which was then sent to an exchange account in Lin's name. So somebody, took Bitcoin, sent it to an instant exchange. It sounds like swapped it into Monero, and sent that Monero to a centralized exchange, then sell it for cash, I assume. And so, 2022 to 33, Administrator Wallet 1 transferred 2 coins to a swapping service, so to an instant exchange. Approximate value at the time of the 2 Bitcoin transfers was 304 Monero. So they turned 2 Bitcoins into 304 Monero. And they turned around and deposited Bitcoin. Well, then it was 2 Bitcoins, valued at like 304.74 Monero. 100 Monero. So almost 4 Monero. So they just got rid of the point for Monero, exact same amount, and then moved that to a exchange. So it was quite obvious that the same obtained on and then moved over. So poor play by the incognito guy. Not that we're sorry to see the guy. I was scamming people, right? I think he was blackmailing people, trying to get them to pay him when incognito was under when he rugged everybody. But he's since been caught, and it was because of his poor use of Monero, swapping it into Bitcoin in a traceable way by using an instant exchange and then moving that same exact amount to a centralized KYC exchange. So, don't feel sorry for him. How do I just easily move over to the next? All right, wait. You know what? Just cut. Okay. Yeah. Shut this episode. Okay. Next story. Tens of thousands of Polish farmers march against strangling restrictions. I haven't been following this, but I guess it's just, we've been talking about it quite a bit on the show, how they're trying to cut off the farmers. We saw in the Netherlands. Now we're seeing it in Poland. This is all part of, this idea of moving toward closer and closer towards a one world government. Governments are instituting, policies where they want to essentially control farmers, control farming, control our food sources. But encouraging to see that it's rising up. I don't know the details of this, but just something to keep an eye on. Next story: Breaking Dero. A new episode has dropped. Breaking Monero is a very well-known, famous series of videos just for created many that talk to Monero in a very honest way, openly aspects of its technology. Pointedly, ring signatures is exposing the known weaknesses of signatures and attacks that can be made on ring signatures. Justin has some great interviews that he did during Breaking Monero to explain that, and the Monero community has always been honestly explaining that, working towards eliminating those shortcomings. As we know, elimination is on the with the information of full improvements. Luke Parker, and so now Luke Parker came in an interview with Breaking Dero, as we know from last week's show, because managed to expose a flaw in Dero. In this interview, goes into detail on how exactly he broke Monero. Breaking Dero episode 1: receivers, amounts, messages, and some senders leaked. So Luke goes over exactly what components of Dero are broken. So Bawdy was mentioning as well. So I'm gonna check that one out. But yeah, Dero, if you're listening, we're open to having participate at Monerotopia. I've said it a couple of times. I don't know, maybe they don't want to be out there talking so honestly about their tech. I don't know. But nice to see a breaking Dero episode drop. Let the truth get out there, and people can make the determinations on the room. Next story, we have Lola sending out a tweet. The prosecution's attempt to label Samourai Wallet as money service business is not only false, but also sets a dangerous precedent. If successful, it could undermine entire custodial and privacy-focused segment of the Bitcoin ecosystem, threatening the very principles of decentralization and user anonymity. Lola is actually going. Lola's going to actually. Lola's going to actually be a speaker at Monerotopia, which is very, very cool. Been following her for a long time. So she's going to be a speaker. I think she's going to be remote, but very cool that she's going to be a speaker. I don't know if she spoke elsewhere. I don't think I've seen that. So very cool that she'll be speaking at Monerotopia and presenting. Tab should have used Monero. Belle Delphine went viral for selling $30 jars. Oh, this is the chick that was selling her water. I don't know if she's a porn star, but she has a tremendous following. She's selling bath water for $30 a jar. And I think apparently when she did it at the time, she ended up not receiving any of the money. It was like, I don't know if it's hundreds of thousands. It was a lot of money, a lot of bath water she sold. And PayPal, hundreds in the day, but PayPal rules about adult content. It froze her account and kept the money. She didn't get any of her hard-earned bath cash. Audio's down now. Has it been bad the whole time? No, just now. So
I'm getting a lot of clipping and like cutting, like it seems to be cutting out a lot, but I just assumed it was my connection. I don't know if anyone else has that.
Yeah, same. I think it's on Dog's end.
Oh, okay.
Conferences notoriously have spotty internet connection, as we well know.
Yeah. All right. I'll wrap. So is it really not usable? Okay.
It's usable. I think it's overall usable.
Well, I could pretty much up at this. This next story was incognito market again, but I guess we already talked about. Zeno is talking about some of the insights that we can gather from. He goes into what he's looking at incognito market, the data that was retrieved by the government agencies showing how incognito market moved over from being Bitcoin based to being Monero based. The XMR deposits represent 269,000 XMR. So showing how insights into how we saw incognito market move from being Bitcoin based to Monero based. And then I think he then just talks about how, the guy used 4 OPSEC to his Bitcoin into Monero using a instant exchange, and then over to a central exchange, which we already talked about. So yeah, that's all the news for today. I know there's a lot more going on out there, but hard to be out here in the conference and keep up with everything at the same time. So I'll take it back to everybody. Does anybody have anything else they want to bring up on stage before I close it out here and get back to the conference? Anybody?
Regarding that incognito guy that got arrested, regardless of the morality behind his actions, I think the key takeaway here is the mistakes that he made. He decided to trust, first of all, a centralized exchange with KYC, and he also decided to trust Bitcoin. Adding to that, well, he got what he deserved. He got found out. So yeah, keep in mind, guys, don't trust centralized exchanges, especially those that do KYC, and move to Monero. As simple as that, man.
All right, yeah, good points. Good points. Buddy, you have any points to be made on that?
No, I don't think so. No, nothing we didn't already cover. I think a lot of us suspected that perhaps this guy might have been a Fed boy or something weird. It was just so weird to see how, like, that he has posts talking about being careful about your outputs, like the edge cases, breaking Monero. Like, he was aware of all of it, and he was helping people. Like, he was occasionally advising people on that, and then he just made some like obvious mistakes that he should have known better. So the whole thing was just kind of weird, and we said, yeah, maybe is something going on here. We don't know, but the suspicion is there.
So wait, what would the, what suspicion? I'm not sure. I'm totally following you. I mean, the guy screwed up. You're saying it'd be something more nefarious going on here?
What I and some other people were wondering is, how did this guy that was clearly educated on exactly the way in which he got pwned, like, how did he get pwned like that when he has years talking about this kind of stuff? Like, talking about OPSEC, helping other people work through their OPSEC, managing, having like poison outputs or having like a bunch of outputs on Monero and then converting them to Bitcoin. Like, he overall has demonstrated that he completely understands these edge cases where your privacy might be weak, even with Monero. Like, he's demonstrated a pretty like significant depth of knowledge there, only at the very end to get pwned by violating all of the things that he talked about. So it was just really weird to see that happen, and it's difficult to explain that. So naturally, we start conspiracy speculating.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's probably just the simplest explanation which is he screwed up, right? Like, you could be out there talking about these things all the time, but really where the issue he ran into is he was obtaining Bitcoin, and then he had to swap it into Monero, and he did it in the dumbest way possible, but he wasn't thinking. So the real flaw, even though he was aware of it, just the fact that it's so unusable, or it's so easy to screw up when you move from Bitcoin to Monero, that he fell into a trap that he himself was probably aware of, probably out of his own greed, didn't want to do anything inconveniently. So he's just, without thinking, swapping his Bitcoin into Monero. So if anything, I think it just shows that, how hard it is to work with Bitcoin and make it untraceable, even with Monero existing. Somebody who knows about Monero very well and wasn't able to successfully do it. I think that's really the lesson to be learned. Like, Monero only all the way, because you're just going to make stupid mistakes.
It could be the case that maybe he used one of those instant swap exchangers and he thought that they were secure, or maybe maybe it was even a Fed boy, a honeypot running one of these instant swap exchanges. And maybe this guy thought that it was, maybe he thought he knew the person, but the person was actually, honeypot. Maybe it was one of those things. Maybe he took too much for granted. But I mean, another thing, if you're running like no shit, if you're selling stuff on the darknet and you're receiving outputs in Monero and Monero only, you could still be targeted for poison output attacks. Like, you could still have Fed boys purchasing, say, 1% of your products. Let's suppose you've made 10,000 sales, and 1% of those are Fed boys. You're going to have a lot of poison outputs at that point, and you're going to need to figure out how to consolidate those outputs and obfuscate them before you send it to the exchange. Because if you just do one transaction to consolidate, let's just say 100 outputs, and then you send that straight to the exchange, there's a high probability that you're going to be found out merely by that. So, like, if you have a high threat, and obviously this isn't just for darknets, but if you have a high threat model in general, and you could have received poison outputs, then it's like you have to take extra care towards handling that before you interact with the KYC exchange. It seemed like this guy knew all that stuff, and he still kind of pwned himself. Maybe he just trusted the wrong guy, but there's something more to this story.
Yeah, no, okay, I hear you. I hear you on that. Yeah, he screwed up. It wasn't even a poison output situation. He just screwed up transferring Bitcoin into Monero, which is like, that that should have been.
If I have it correctly, he transferred Bitcoin into Monero and then deposited Monero to the exchange. Maybe it was the other direction.
Yeah, no, I think he used an instant exchange to transfer coin to Monero, and then basically transfer that same exact amount that he obtained to a centralized KYC exchange.
Yeah, I mean, this is something we've even talked about on the show here a number of times, where we've said, be very careful if you're going from one exchange to another exchange. Be very careful about sending identical amounts. If you're gonna, if you have to interact with exchanges, if you need to spend Monero in some way to a place that might have your identity, might have your personal identifying information, you're better off having a stash of Monero that you use all the time, that you operate out of, and you occasionally top up that stash at irregular amounts, at irregular intervals, and you basically try and break all those heuristics. And this should, in general, for the average person, it should protect you pretty well. This guy would have needed to use some extra caution. But again, it's crazy because he knew all that. He was totally aware of all that. So, but yeah, I mean, guys, Monero isn't perfect. Watch Breaking Monero, understand the edge cases, and don't be very careful when you're operating, going from one exchange to another exchange directly.
Words of wisdom. All right, guys, I think I'm going to close out here. I want to try to hobnob over here, talk to people, socialize a little bit, and maybe talk to some of the Trump camp, feel them out on privacy coins. I'm sure I won't be able to talk to Trump directly, but maybe I could talk to some people in his camp, try to feel them out where they stand on these issues. We do these shows every Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern. We will see you next week at the same time. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining. Thank you, Bawdy and Neilus, for sticking around to the end. Thank you to everybody that jumped up today, and to all our special guests. We will see you next week.
Thanks.
Ciao.
Have a good one.
See you.
Thank you for joining us on this week's Monerotopia episode. We stream live shows every Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern. You can find and subscribe to our show on YouTube and Odyssey, or listen to the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or Stitcher. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or join us in the Monerotopia Telegram group. See you all next week.